Ladies and gentlemen, I'll again request all of our guests to kindly please be seated. We would just be starting the session. May I ask the hall committee of ours to kindly request the guests to please be seated. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So let's reconvene and recommence with the second phase of with the last phase, I'll say, of our conference. So the session that we are going to have is microinsurance, big protection in small ticket. Fortunately for us, we have a recorded message from Mr. Lorenzo Chan, who is chairman of the Microinsurance Network and is also the president and CEO of Pioneer Incorporation, Philippines. Mr. Lorenzo couldn't join us in person. He sent a video recorded message. I'll just request again to all of our guests who are not yet seated to please take a seat. And we'll go ahead with the video presentation first, video recording first from Mr. Lorenzo, and then we'll proceed with our presentation and panel discussion. Thank you so much. Okay, so technical team, can you please play the video presentation, video recording of Mr. Lorenzo Chan? Thank you.
On behalf of the Microinsurance Network, I extend greetings to honored guests, industry stalwarts, and participants of the International Insure Impact Conference. Thank you to the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan for organizing this event. A key objective of this gathering is the launch of the 5-year strategic plan that is intended as the start of your journey to a more fully insured Pakistan, one that brings the benefits of insurance to more people, especially those that need it most. While I am unable to join you in person today, technology has enabled my participation in this session titled Microinsurance, Big Protection in Small Ticket. This is a subject that is at the heart of the Microinsurance Network's existence and a passion-turned viable business case for the pioneer companies I oversee in the Philippines. As an avid practitioner of both traditional and microinsurance, I am often asked if there's a business case for microinsurance. My answer has always been, yes, there is, and I am not alone. One only need look at the insurers around the globe that have made inroads in offering insurance that is affordable, accessible, easy to comprehend, and simple to claim. At the Microinsurance Network, you will find many who share a commitment in building a world where people of all income levels become more resilient. This is a world where they become less vulnerable to daily and catastrophic risks via effective risk management tools like insurance. Membership enables us to share best practices, to learn from each other's successes, failures, and innovations. It also provides opportunities to collaborate. The network is in fact supporting the Global Shield stock-taking process in Pakistan by engaging with our membership and partners base to prospect ongoing and planned climate resilience projects. In several ways, Pakistan and the Philippines share something in common with many nations. Climate change has caused a surge in natural hazards in both our countries. Major hazards such as flooding, storms, earthquakes, landslides, and droughts cause harm to both population and economy. Question, therefore, is the glass half full or half empty? Now, according to Pakistan's first ever digital census, there are over 241 million people in your country. I would say the glass is more than half full in terms of market opportunity. The question is not whether there is a market, because there is, but rather, is the insurance industry ready, willing, and prepared to take up the challenge to serve the available market of underserved and unserved? The 0.87% premium to GDP ratio simply indicates that glass still has a lot of room to be filled, which means a big opportunity to do more. When you come down to it, two important factors are present. The market of millions is there. The exposure to risks is also there, which means the need for protection is present. It's there. So these next steps, which I will share, are also covered by your strategic plan. They must therefore be addressed. Number one, the market of millions must gain a greater awareness of the benefits of insurance, of its ability to enable people and businesses to rebuild, resume, restart their lives and livelihoods after a death, an accident, or a calamity occurs. More access to proper information is essential. Number two, more insurers, and I understand there are at least 42 in your market, so you have more than enough players. More insurers must continue learning more about the micro market, what they need, what they can afford, which institutions they trust, and which access points the potential buyers can be reached. And then you must respond accordingly. Number three, regulators must continue the path of enabling the industry to do more, whether it is creating awareness, innovating products and approaches, digitizing processes for ease of doing business, or simply creating value propositions that benefit the end client. Your strategic vision mentions regulatory excellence as a means to develop the insurance sector by balancing protection of policyholders with industry growth. The ultimate goal is to enable the industry to do more for the market it serves. Hence, the importance of paying claims as quickly as you can. The micro market has little resource. They cannot afford to wait. Many live hand to mouth and need claim payouts soonest so they can restart and rebuild. Speedy claims settlement and turnaround time should be part of the equation if we are to win more converts and more believers. Haiyan, one of the largest typhoons to ever hit the Philippines 10 years ago, created so much damage to Central Philippines, we at Pioneer had to further simplify our already simple ways of handling microinsurance claims. Instead of waiting for the clients to come to us, we went to where they were in town. We worked with our partners on the ground to identify the clients and approach them. When asked where they lived, many would point us to a direction where there was nothing but flat land. You see, no standing structures had been left in the wake of the cyclone. We would quickly check our records and have local government representatives confirm their identities as well. We identified our claimants, and once these were confirmed, they were asked to return the next day and paid in cash. The payout exceeded over $2 million at the time, which benefited around 24,000 families. Word of mouth attracted new partners and saw enrollments grow from less than 1 million in 2014 to over 7 million in 2015. In the years that followed, we gained new clients and continue paying claims. We are looking to close 2023 with over 22 million enrollments. Yes, it can be done. Yes, there is a business case. In conclusion, I'd like to say congratulations to you all on taking the initial steps towards a journey to insure more. While microinsurance may sound small, Its impact on increasing financial inclusion, increasing resilience, and closing the production gap cannot be underestimated. You see, what it ultimately helps bring about is the empowerment of people. Our best wishes to you from the Microinsurance Network, and thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll request a huge round of applause for Mr. Lorenzo Chan. It was really a very inspiring message from him, and I think that we can learn a lot alone from this video that he had. Now we will be moving towards our panel discussion as well as our presentation. So the panelists for the session are, the moderator is Mr. Rehan Bhatt, who is the CEO of Instaful Solutions. Rehan Bhatt is an insurance professional renowned for his robust entrepreneurial acumen. With a distinguished career spanning diverse markets across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, he boasts extensive expertise in various facets of insurance industry. Rehan's journey encompasses startup creation, market creating innovation, setting up new business models, scalability, and driving profitability. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rehan Bhatt. May I now request Mr. Nilofer Sohail, who is the Deputy General Manager at EFU Life Assurance Limited and is also a member of the board of Microinsurance Network and Pakistan Microfinance Network. Nilofer is an accomplished professional with 18 years of exceptional expertise in the financial sector. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Nilofer Sohail. A big round of applause, please. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to call Mr. Pedro Pinheiro. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. Pedro has joined us all the way from Luxembourg, and a special round of applause, please, for Pedro. He was able to obtain his visa on the very last day of travel, and he made it here. Pedro is the coordinator of the Inclusive Insurance and Sovereign and Humanitarian Working Groups of the Insurance Development Forum, IDF, a position housed at the Microinsurance Network. He has 12 years of experience in the insurance industry and has also worked in payments, credit, and financial market infrastructure segments. Next, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Ishaq Kothawala, who is currently serving as CEO of Wada Digital. He has spent 14 years in various insurance companies, including being the chief actuary for the largest takaful underwriter in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ishaq Kothawala. Mr. Ali Basharat is the next panelist, who is working as head of operations at PMN. He oversees the publication of the State of the Industry Report for Pakistan Microfinance Review. And importantly, he is tasked with promoting investment in the sector by establishing linkages with both local and foreign investors. Lastly, we have Mr. Zainul Haq Qureshi, who is the CEO of Asia Insurance. He has spent 15 years at Asia Insurance, and he started his career at Asia and is spearheading the digitalization of the company's branch network and a complete overhaul of its branch structure. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zainul Haq Qureshi. Now I'd like to call my colleague, Mr. Wazir Zada Yasir Almaz Khan, who is Additional Joint Director at the Insurance Division of SECP. He has been associated with the Commission for the past 15 years and has predominantly worked on the non-bank finance company side, and also played a very remarkable role in launching of the IMLAC portal with CDC, which is a digital platform for digital distribution of mutual funds. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wazir Zada Yasir would be presenting the draft report of SECP on microinsurance. Thank you so much. Mr. Wazir, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I will give you a brief synopsis of our report on the microinsurance, which is unlocking the potential of micro and inclusive insurance. So why we needed this study? The basic objective of this study is to analyze the microinsurance segment of insurance sector and to check whether the regulations earlier promulgated have been effectively served the purpose by offering customized, affordable, acceptable, and easy to understand solutions. So to conduct this exercise, we basically went for the data collection, and the data collection throughout this exercise remained a huge challenge. And my colleague Sachidin Okaka has to run multiple times that exercise, and it is his effort that we are now able to give you a figure of this elusive data that 16.37 million policies of the microinsurance are at the moment with 137 million. In this sector, we have number of 20 insurers, 1 broker, 4 MNOs, and 6 mobile apps through which this is being offered. So if we go with this, 16.37 million policies in a population of 222, a bigger chunk remains unserved. And with that, if you check the numbers, we have a working population of 154 million. And out of that working population, 30.49 million is in informal sector. That is the sector which needs insurance. And then working agriculture, we have 25. Mobile cellular, approximately 80% of our population is using mobile with 119 million people. SMEs 5.2 and mobile microinsurance, microfinance borrowers 9.2 million. So when the journey started, the journey of microinsurance started in 2012. So when a diagnostic study was conducted with the help of World Bank, that diagnostic study pressed on the need for a regulatory framework for microinsurance. So in 2014, the regulatory framework for microinsurance was introduced with the focus on its definition, that is a product for low-income persons. Then in 2021, another study was conducted, and that study was basically to promote financial technology and innovation, and a regulatory framework for digital-only insurers and micro-only insurers were introduced in 2022, which has reduced capital requirements and solvency requirements. So this time, through this draft report, we are going to start a new journey, which is basically transforming that microinsurance segment into inclusive insurance segment. So the report basically focuses on number of gaps. One of the major gap remains within our regulatory framework that needs to be identified. Lack of collaborations between the MNOs and lack of digital partners. So we need to collaborate more with digital partners. Non-availability of tailored products, because that is a segment which need tailored products. And then the multiple taxations. It keeps that insurance policy on the higher side, costly, and no incentives or no subsidies for the government. And then, like I earlier said, a non-availability of uniform data. The data is fragmented into different places. And last but not least, no mass retail disaster insurance products available. So the people living in remote areas need a disaster. And in the report has some actions and way forwards. The actions basically topmost priority to overhaul the regulatory framework, build collaborations with MNOs and MFIs, build partnerships with digital distributor and technical service providers. Do not sell insurance, sell value. Affordable, suitable insurance to all the people. Easy and transparent communication, because the people you are selling the insurance are complete illiterate people and they need to understand it. Frictionless payments in that, so that they're easy to get their repayments in claims. Then we move on to open insurance. Digitization is the main thing. We need to have databases where people are easy to access, because it's very hard for the policyholder to maintain his policies on different platforms. So we need to basically connect people, and efforts needs to be made where the insurer and the intermediaries need to connect with each other and share the data. The more data we have, the more we will be able to get to the people. And then we would be going for SCCP in collaboration with IAP. We will be basically giving you a mechanism to ensure the availability of data, what kind of products, geographical spaces where they are being delivered. And then in the end, we need social protection. As per ILO platform, we have only 9.2% of the population covered with one social. protection. So we need that, and inclusive insurance through targeted subsidies by the government and micro insurance for disaster is the way forward. Thank you very much. Rian, over to you.
Thank you very much, Wazir, and thank you, SCCP, for organizing this event and inviting me and my more capable colleagues. So I think we have done the intro part, so we'll not get into that. So, right, so some housekeeping stuff. So we understand that you have been to lunch, and before that, a session on actuarial. So we have sympathies with you. So we'll keep it very engaging, and we'll try to jump into Q&A sooner than you expect, right? So grab your pens and these nice notebooks and write down your points, and we will try to include you as much as possible. So it's an inclusive insurance. We'll make this session inclusive as well. I talk a lot, disclaimer, but I'll try to not do that and let these guys speak. Before that, allow me to say two things. One is that the way I interpret the data Wazir presented is the following. Less than 20% insurance companies are doing micro-inclusive. Less than 5% of brokers are doing micro-inclusive. And what? 100% of MNOs are doing micro-inclusive. So a big hand of applause for MNOs. So now we need to really ponder that, who is running insurance industry. The second thing, Wazir, thanks for sharing me the detailed report as well. So I was reading that this morning. So I share a small story with you. So I think it was several years ago, and A2II had a session in Islamabad, and Dr. Antonis Melagaris was presenting. So towards the end, he asked that, what should be the best contribution of regulator for growth of microinsurance, right? So somebody said that, awareness session, somebody said, more takaful, somebody said, create in Urdu, and, this and that. And it came to me, and I was like, the best contribution of SCCP is no contribution. So, and some people chuckled, somebody frowned upon me and all that. So now here is something very interesting. So interesting enough, SCCP actually did both the things, right? So they did an action, and they brought in microinsurance regulations 2014, right? And they also accepted my humble recommendation and didn't do anything. So if you're selling something which fits into microinsurance regulation and you did not get that registered, SCCP didn't come after you. They said, okay, do it. We don't care. They just closed one eye, right? So now it's roughly 10 years after that. So two approaches ran in parallel. One is where SCCP proactively did something to grow microinsurance, and the other one was they didn't do anything and they let the market do whatever they want. So now we have SCCP gave us the scorecard, right, a couple of days ago. The number of insured in second approach is 16.37 million. All of us saw it. Guess how many number of people were insured in the first approach where SCCP did something to grow microinsurance? Any guesses? Panel? None. Say. None. Can you hear? Can you all hear? Loud, thoda together.
On behalf of all of us, I think none of the products as such, maybe like less than 1-2%, I will say it as none.
I took assurance from SCCP that none of our license will be cancelled. So speak freely, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, so the score is 16.3 million versus 0, right? So I'm not the kind of a guy who says, didn't I say so? I'm saying that this is not the end of argument. This is not the end of conversation, but let's make it the start of conversation. Let's think, let's commission a study on this only. I'm happy to do it voluntarily without any compensation to study why nobody did it under microinsurance regulation, rather they did it otherwise. And again, kudos to SCCP for letting that happen. But they're like, enormous lessons over there. Let's jump more into this and hear more from these, smart people. So I'll start from you, right?
Sure.
So there is SCCP, published a report, and it says that micro, digital, whatever, etc., its share is less than 1%. That's not how you see fundamentally, the market creating thing. But they view it from GWP point of view, right?
Yeah.
So, And that actually made my life very difficult because I'm going to people and they say, no, there's no potential. But anyway, so a lot of people say that, it's more like, sizzle, less of steak. And also, why do we do that? And when we have like, when we can sell one policy equal to like, 1,000 policies, lot of large commercial insurers say that, right? So EFU Life is a large commercial insurer in Pakistan, right? And you are very active in this side of the business. So Nilofer, what you are saying in this business, which others are not?
Thank you, Rehan, for this question. Before coming to your question, I would like to thank SECP, Akif Saab, Amir Saab, Wasim Saab for organizing this conference and especially for including this important panel into this conference. I think this is something that we talk often, but giving it this prominence, having an open discussion around it, I would like to thank you all. So coming to your question, Rehan, I would say that for us, EFU Life obviously has been in existence since 30 years, privatized since 30 years, in existence since before Pakistan. So yes, we had like a lot of legacy which was present in many things, in the product processes. One thing that I would like to mention, that is the change in mindset. That is the first and foremost thing that is required to make this micro, digital, inclusive insurance a success. I don't call it micro insurance. I call it more as a digital and inclusive insurance. We have a separate section in our company dedicated, and people literally call it a startup within a big company. So why we do that? Because for me, micro insurance is towards the bottom of the pyramid. But when we speak about Pakistan, we have seen since yesterday, I'll not go into the facts. It's like a lot of Pakistan doesn't have insurance. So micro insurance is not what we are targeting. We want to include everyone into the insurance net. Why we are doing it? We are doing it because we think that this is the requirement. When we talk about financial inclusion, the motivation behind bringing this into EFU Life was the NFIS. So when the first time State Bank did add insurance as the pillar to NFIS, that's where we drafted our first strategy paper. We sat and we thought that if we go on with the traditional means of selling insurance, we will never be able to target a huge gap, that is middle income and below. And that's where we thought of it. One thing that I always mention, I think people who have heard previously also would say, I always say that this is not CSR. Please don't consider it as CSR. Please don't consider it as one scheme that has come out and you have to do it. You have to think of it as a business model. It has to make business for you. It has to be successful. Otherwise, you will not be able to continue it for the long term. And when COVID came, we proved right. Because if we would have considered it as CSR, I think it would have been the first thing to wind up. But we didn't do so. So for us, the main KPI for this channel is the number of lives that we are insuring. And what we think is that if you bring number of lives into the insurance net, other things will follow with time. So yes, we could have gone with the same approach of getting smaller number of lives, bigger premium, but we thought to do it in a slightly difficult way. So we have like partnered with 30 partnerships. We have developed an ecosystem around it, with telcos to ride-hailing services to fintechs to insurtechs to startups. Are all of them working in the right direction? I would say no. But are we learning? Yes, we are learning with every partnership. We are graduating as a company. We are trying different things. We are doing new things. And what we are seeing is that it is bringing a lot of flavor, a lot of new dynamics to the processes, to the products that we haven't done previously. So yes, it is micro, inclusive, digital is not breaking a product which was like 100,000 into 10 pieces. It is about understanding the business model. What we are getting is we are understanding each and every business model, and then we are preparing a product. So the product conversation is literally, I would say, the last thing we do. It is about the program. The program has awareness, the program has product in the end, the program has how we'll reach out to the customers, what is the segment, what is the needs of those customers, and that I think is giving EFU Life every day a new challenge that is keeping us all very active, very refreshed. Thank you.
Amazing. I think this is super interesting. So you said few things which are worth probing a bit more. So, for example, we see that I was reading somewhere that in past 20 years, all innovations in insurance industry are brought by insurtechs, and they are like whether IoT, whether drone, whether machine learning, whatever, right? So, and then that drove all the big insurance companies like Allianz and the EXAs and Generali and AIG to either create their own insurtechs or like invest in insurtech, right? So I was part of an insurtech in previous life where it was owned by majority owned by EXA. However, there is an argument that if you run an intermediary, if you are not into like making underwriting profits, then it's not a sustainable business, right? So they said that you cannot survive as an intermediary. That's another argument made on this. Hence, if you look at the numbers, out of 20 odd brokers, only one is doing so. That brings me to Isaac. You are an intermediary and you are doing it. Would you agree with this argument that you cannot make a successful, sustainable micro or digital insurance business, inclusive insurance business, however you call it, without underwriting profits?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So if you look at the top insurtechs in US, Roots, Lemonade, Hippo, they're all like were $15 billion valuations. When they went IPO, they had to release all their books, including what the underwriting books were saying. And all their share prices tanked. They're now 10% of their valuations, what they were initially when they were raising from the VC. So the startups generally are coming from a startup mindset where they do growth for the sake of growing. But in insurance, it's a long-term contract. The long-term underwriting books are equally important as the growth. So I completely agree that it has to go hand in hand. And just like insurtechs are important to create value within the entire value chain, be it distribution, be it issuing the policies, be it ease of claims, but insurers are equally important because they have the underwriting capacity and the underwriting mindset and the skill set and the books to do that. So I think it needs to go hand in hand.
What's your take on this, Pedro? I mean, can a micro insurance or whatever name? So let's not get into the names because. So I have another theory, right? So normally you will add an adjective to something which is small, right? So for example, if crows are black, right? But if you see a white crow or blue crow, you will say blue crow, and you will not say black crow because you'll just say crow, right? So in our industry, so the insurance is only 5%, right? So we should call uninsured the insurance, reserve that term for those who haven't bought insurance, and come up with a new terminology for those 5% who have insurance. Call it like elite club, something like that, right? So I never say, like, I agree with Nilofer that, we don't call it in a micro. I mean, I do micro insurance per se, but I hate the word micro. So the point I'm raising here is that, if someone ambitious like me or Isaac comes into this business of, setting up an insurtech, and like Isaac said that, you need underwriting profits to be sustainable. You have a global perspective. What is your take on that? Is it possible?
Thank you very much. I'd like to start by thanking the organizers for having me, for making me feel at home in Pakistan. I do not take this for granted. Also commending for the amount of work that clearly has been put into preparing for this conference, not only preparing the conference. So congratulations to Mr. Amir and the whole team. I'd like to start quickly. I will not go into an introduction of the Microinsurance Network because Lorenzo did it very well. I couldn't do it better. But I also represent the Insurance Development Forum, which is an international association of global insurance and reinsurance companies with development agencies that are working in the insurance and risk financing space. And the IDF is on a mission to insure an additional 500 million people against climate risks, out of which 150 million should be insured with profitable and sustainable microinsurance business, right? So this is where I'm coming from. And I appreciate the honesty and the transparency that with which the challenges have been shared throughout this conference, because they are very relatable to me coming from my own corner of the world. It was mentioned that I come from Luxembourg, but I was definitely not born in Luxembourg. I was born in Brazil. I lived in Brazil for 34 years of my life, and I worked for the Brazilian Insurance Association for 8 years. And I was very privileged to, at the beginning of my career, participate in the discussions that set up the first regulatory framework for microinsurance. And this is another reason why I relate so much to the current context in Pakistan, because what happened in Brazil was that through the engagements with the market and lots of international consultants came to Brazil and helped us draft this regulatory framework, which looked amazing. The supervisor came out with at least 7 pieces of regulation looking at different aspects. They were obviously very concerned about consumer protection and solvency, and balancing that with their mandate of market development, which they should. I think it's granted to them. That's an important balance to be struck. But ultimately, what happened after that was that the framework was published, and the market was taking too long to adjust, to sort of transition from the traditional business to that micro insurance, which was what it was called at the time, framework. And so I think the context is very similar. It's not that the low-income population wasn't being addressed, because in Brazil, over 70% of the workers earn less than 2 minimum salaries. So the products were there. These people, to some extent, were already being addressed, but the insurers were not calling it microinsurance and decided not to register it as microinsurance. So we, as the Insurance Association, started engaging with the companies to understand why that was happening. Obviously, they thought there weren't enough incentives to transition to this new regulatory framework. There was an expectation that some tax incentives might come into place at some point, but those require a legal sort of enactment, and it cannot be passed by the supervisor. So ultimately, we started re-engaging with the supervisor to adjust the regulations, and in an iterative process, this happened. But ultimately, we didn't see the development in the market that we expected from a market perspective, from the industry perspective. And it was then, about the time I was almost leaving the association, I came up with this idea of a minimum regulatory product, so a minimum viable regulation, if you may. And I came to the supervisor in a meeting with a story about boxes and flags that ultimately, I think, helped them understand the problem, because they had created a box for microinsurance that was too strict. Some microinsurance products or some inclusive insurance products were just round. They wouldn't fit in that box. The product regulation had 80 articles to be compliant with, and that was only one of the pieces of regulations. And then I suggested to them, look, we understand the rationale behind the regulation. There's a consumer protection sort of concern, and you need to look into solvency. Okay, we understand that. But why do we not look into this, considering that what you need is effectively data on products that are addressing the low-income population, so that you can effectively monitor and supervise this market? And what we achieved out of this dialogue was a reform in the regulation that came out with a new piece of regulation that had 8 articles instead of 80, right? And I'll mention them very quickly, because it's a principles-based regulation that I was aiming at the SWAV approach, and I know Michael is in the room, but ultimately they decided to take their own principles, and the principles were inclusion, simplicity, focus on the client, accessibility, transparency, proportionality, sustainability, financial education, and innovation. And they gave a very brief 3-line description of what they understood by each of these principles, and they said to the market, look, if you tell me, if you can prove you comply with these principles, then you're doing inclusive insurance. You can raise the flag and say, this product is an inclusive insurance product, and we'll then monitor it as such. I tend to hesitate about bringing examples from Brazil, because that's not a country I'm working in with the IDF and the MIN, but I think because I'm feeling so much at home, I felt that it was pertinent to the discussions.
Awesome. I think this was brilliant. Let's bring our friend sitting at the very corner, Zen, into the conversation. So a lot of time, micro or digital is attributed to something like, personal accident, term life, hospital cash, stuff like that. Although there is like some innovations in non-life sector as well, like, ensuring the smartphones and all. So that's a common perception, right? I mean, it's not even in Pakistan, across, in different markets as well. Like, people would like talk about that. Representing a non-life insurance company. So what's your take that, what is in it for a non-life company like yourself in terms of micro, and how do you see micro as a business in terms of like product profitability and scalability?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I think you skipped a few places to get to me, so thanks for that. I will say that defining feature as we see it of the difference between microinsurance, as we're calling it, and non-micro insurance or insurance, it's not simply an issue of scale or an issue of size per policy, value per policy, or like that. In the conventional insurance in Pakistan, our client is rarely, strictly speaking, our client is rarely the actual end user of the policy or the end beneficiary. Our client is also an intermediary, which is typically a bank, a microfinance bank, conventional bank, agriculture bank, whatever. They are the customer as we see it, because they issue a loan and then insurance is tacked on as a necessary evil in part of getting the loan. That it is a cost that must be borne. Of course, there's a lot of regulatory grounding for it, and there are good reasons to get your loan portfolio insured, but that is where the insurance flows from. So the products are designed with mind that it is a bank customer, and the bank needs these clauses, these warranties, or they don't want this kind of thing, and so that must be catered to or rejected as the case may be. In microinsurance, the key defining feature we've seen is that although there are intermediaries, PMN is here, we work with many microfinance operators, there is dramatically higher focus on who the end customer is, what their day-to-day lives are like, what their income cycles are like, what their cash cycles are like. Down to this level, because of the deep involvement that we see with microfinance operators being regionally operative, not necessarily or definitely not all operating on very large scale across districts, down to this on what things are happening in their clients' personal lives and how that ties into the ecosystem of microfinance, and then looking at it and developing, like Nilofer had alluded to as well, more holistic products. So if, for example, if I take our example on the non-life side, it wouldn't make sense for me to take a car insurance product priced at, in the great heydays, at let's say 4% of the value, and then say, well, this is a lower value car, but here's a 4% rate, and so please just get your car, rickshaw, two-wheeler, whatever, insured with us. That makes no sense. And I say that from experience. We have done that, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense, and it makes no sales. We need to design products that make sense in the context that those people are living in their day-to-day lives. And over there, we've seen that on the microfinance side, one of the channels that has been our way in has been agriculture. Not just crop insurance, but we're seeing different requirements coming in on livestock insurance. These animals, typically they end up being cattle, but you often see, depending where in the country you are, goats or sheep as well, that this or these together are the largest asset available with those people. The house is, because of where it is, it's not like there are FBR values attached to it. Land is perpetually in some dispute or another, but the animals are theirs. And these animals generate cash, and then when they're infirm or not, they can be sold for meat. And so centering products around keeping this animal healthy and keeping this source of income and this source of wealth up and functioning, we should design products around the focus of achieving this. And again, I would say that the solution has not been, let's take what our livestock insurance product is for a commercial bank and then say, you have a cheaper animal, but here's the price. The price has to be scaled down to make it affordable. You change some coverages around stuff that makes sense. But the delivery method needs to be refined a lot. Again, it cannot simply be that, like with a commercial bank, you tell us that the loan has been issued, now go and tag the animal that they've bought. And you send someone out, typically near a major population center, to do it. Over here, the population is much more widespread. The cost would be too much, simply, to go and do this physically. So digitization is of utmost importance. But within that digitization, the claims process, the underwriting process, a lot of the back-end work needs to be done seamlessly. not even necessarily in real time. With some of the distributors we're working with, the products are pre-designed. The consultation phase, the development phase, all of that goes into the background and at the front, as close to a cookie cutter product as you can get, so that it is easy for the client to understand and crucially easy for them to lodge a claim when a loss occurs. Only that can build trust, and then that is what's going to carry the future of microinsurance in Pakistan.
Amazing, amazing. So this cannot be explained better than that. So I actually, I have another question for you, but before that, so you're spot on when you said that, look at from client's perspective and all that. So I read this, post on LinkedIn that, what insurance can learn from milkshakes. So it's a theory called Jobs Theory by Clayton Christensen, a Harvard teacher. And he explained it nice way. And I kind of, drew some parallels and I put up a post a couple of days ago. So it actually says that, if the people buy things to do certain jobs, right? So if I'm buying insurance for to be paid when I go to the hospital, and if the product doesn't do that job, then people go to the competition. Now, a bad news for us is that, if a policy sold by Asia doesn't do its job, for a first-time buyer, the competition is not, the alternate is not EFU, it's no insurance, right? So that's the problem, right? So the supplementary question I have for you is that, a lot of people say that, crop insurance, agriculture insurance, livestock cannot be done without government subsidy. And, I think it's an easy, an escape, just say that, government has to chip in money, otherwise we cannot do it. Would you agree with that?
When talking about stuff that government can do, can't do, how good or not, a lot of times the answer is yes and no. And this time is no different. It is a yes and no thing. I think it cannot be done without government intervention. That doesn't necessarily mean to just subsidize the premium. Government intervention in designing an ecosystem or enabling an ecosystem, not even designing it. Enabling an ecosystem where we're able to find our path is where I think government funding, government ideas, government brainstorming, that is what needs to go on. And to let operators in that space find a path that makes sense for an aim of, in this context, getting more people into insurance, getting more people into that safety net, but also not causing harm. And so if you can give those sort of rails and then let us find our way in the middle, it's something that Rehan started with, that is what is behind the success of microinsurance so far in Pakistan. That would be the way to do it. Enabling us to derive an ecosystem that doesn't cause harm, but gets the job done. That is, I think, where the brain trust of the government needs to be deployed.
Amazing. Once again, awesome. So there is a study, there are like 65 countries study and all that. So flat subsidy, premium subsidy is the worst form of government intervention in agriculture insurance. That's like everyone says. And I second you on that, there are millions of things where government can intervene and help creating an ecosystem. Talking of ecosystem, Ali, I come to you. Thank you for patiently hearing all of this. So we insurance people, right? We talk a lot, right? So that's how we sell you. So Zain said in his point that, he sees, the MFI or the MNOs or the MFBs as his clients as opposed to the end users, right? So you represent PMN. And PMN is probably, if, we see that, the largest provider of insurance, microinsurance, then PMO is a single, and like your network, the entities with you, they're the single largest source. And I see Mohsin's presentations that, there are like 8 or 9 million policies, and then that's reflected into Wazir's presentation as well. So you guys have been doing it for a while now. So how many, in your opinion, when you bring someone into the fold of insurance through an embedded insurance linked with a loan, baked in a loan, does that help changing behavior? Will people be like, having faith or trust or likeness for an insurance policy and willing to pay it on a standalone basis? What's your experience, please?
Thank you, Rehan. So just a bit of background. Microfinance just does not mean microcredit. It includes microinsurance, which is a very essential component. At the moment, there are 9 million microinsurance policyholders. A third of them are credit life. Remaining are dominated by health insurance. According to a PMN study that we did around a few years back, the potential market for microinsurance that we calculated was around 90 million in Pakistan, and we are standing at 9 million. So among the insurance products, health is the dominant one, and it is a very popular one. Clients generally, what we have seen, the clients' perception and feedback on the health insurance is very positive, and it's widely acceptable. They are aware of that this insurance is available to them when they avail a loan from the microfinance entity. So that's a popular one, but it's dovetailed with the insurance product. Maybe going forward, keeping in view of this popularity, they may be standalone products. But for standalone products, I think what is needed is an economic case. Affordability is very important. And of course, when you mentioned the success of the product, so it needs to work. And to get the right product mix, I think MFIs need to work very closely with the insurance providers to bring out the right product, because it bears a lot of reputation risk for the MFI if the product does not work, because they are the ones who are facing the client, the micro borrower. And we must remember they are from the lower income strata of the society. So it is very important that they are catered for. And I feel that focus on insurance in financial literacy programs, making them aware of their rights, that is very important. And use of digital channels. Microfinance providers have been using digital channels for disbursement and collection of their loans. So the same channels can be used for collection of premiums and disbursement of the claims. And I think going forward, there's a lot of room keeping in view the occurrence of natural disasters in the country for livestock and agriculture insurance. So maybe initially working on the dovetail with the general loans, and then going forward, there will be a market will develop for a standalone products when the clients see them actually working. So I think this is my opinion about how we can go forward.
Thanks, Ali. Would you agree?
Yes, I would definitely agree with Ali, because what we have also seen, and I briefly touched upon it previously as well, that the close collaboration is very, very important. Not just with the microfinance institution, with all the ecosystems that we collaborate with. It can be a telco, it can be a bank also, because bank assurance has just touched upon a very specific proportion of the customers. There is a lot of population that is left for digital insurance or the inclusive insurance to cover with the ride-hailing services. So we have to understand as insurers that these are different platforms and we have to learn with them. So learning is very important. In collaboration, they have a better idea about their customers. They know their needs. They have segmented them. They know what works. They know which payment channel would work better and how to collaborate with it. So why not just learn from their experience, partner with them? And I use the word partner. This is very important, that we understand where we can add value to their processes and not necessarily create one, because it will be very difficult for them. For an inclusive insurance product, when we say it's a very small ticket size product, do we really think and we expect that a partner will go and change his entire process? No, we have to build in our journey with their journey, and we have to understand their needs. And when a product is developed where the needs of both the parties is well understood, then only the proposition can be successful. Thank you.
Good point. So I met with someone from one of our regional countries. So they said that, they were solving a problem where they partnered with a bank and they were giving, the digital loans. And the loan disbursement process had 3 clicks. And the credit life insurance into that had 12 clicks. So the colleague I was talking to, she was stuck in that. She said that I'm not able to figure out how do I reduce to 3 clicks. So there is something which Nilofer is saying a lot. Isaac, I'm coming to you that, insurers should do this, do that, and all that. So, and she herself is an insurer. I said something a few years ago to make sure that no insurer ever hires me again. So I said that, the insurance company means an entity who take risks on behalf of others against a fee and all that. So the one thing which most of our insurers hate the most is the term risk. What Ali is saying, what Nilofer is agreeing with you, would love to hear your thoughts on that. Would you agree that, it's a knowing doing gap? They in forums, they say like that. No, I'm not pointing you out really. So, but when you go to their desk and you say, you know what, I would like to insure the 2-wheelers out there, and they will say, are you out of your mind? Have you you face something like that, Isaac? Please be candid.
First of all, I wanted to acknowledge SECP. And SECP, I've never seen in my career that SECP has become so receptive, so progressive. They take almost every suggestion on board and they do something about it. I just realized this more because I'm now dealing with other regulators in the MENA. So apni cheez ki qadar jab bhi hoti hai, when you see outside. So thank you for your progressive mindset and your proactive actions. I find it very paradoxical. We talk about big buzzwords, not buzzwords, but the reality by underwriting profits and microfinance banks and cash flows and startups and VCs. But, we're sitting in this hotel and these people who are serving us, we're actually talking about them, but they don't even know that we're talking about them. Amazing. So I feel like there's such a huge gap. And what the reality is, do they know? Let's just bring them on the stage and ask them next time. I think there should be a surprise panel where we randomly ask them, do you know about Takaful? So we have around 5 million recorded conversations that we have done in pitching those customers. And out of 5 million, 2 million, they don't even understand Urdu. So we have 30 plus local languages in Pakistan, multiple dialects of Urdu. However, we only have pitching in Urdu. We have products which are explained in English. And then once the customer goes to the hospital, when we ask them, give us the discharge summary and we'll pay you the claim on a reimbursement. They say, what is the discharge summary? We say, ek parcha milega, hospital say, send it to us. They go to the hospital and the hospital guy says, get out of it. That's the reality. So we need to be closer to the reality, the people who we're serving, rather than sitting in our ivory towers and talking about concepts of how we can serve them. So I agree with all the gentlemen here. What they're talking about is very, very client focused. That was one of the regulations pointers that you were saying. So solving for the client. So I think one of the biggest things that we can, like you said, two-wheelers. How can we get to the two-wheelers? In Saudi, Dubai. So when we talk about the insurance penetration, I think Pakistan's insurance penetration is very high as compared to many, many countries. Yes, we need to distinguish the matrix. You know how you look at the stats, perspective changes. So we should dissect the matrix of penetration into what is the voluntary penetration and what is the non-voluntary penetration. So in Saudi, for example, the penetration is 1.6%. In UAE, 3.1% is the penetration. But the voluntary penetration actually is 0.1%. In UAE, 0.3%. So if you look at it generally, we're like lower than them, but we are way higher on the voluntary because there's nothing compulsory.
Good. That's a good point. So, and I would share an experience, then we'll go to the audience for questions. So what you said was amazing. So especially that, they don't even know that we are talking about them, right? So we created a smartphone insurance product and we were trying to avoid the word insurance. And we called a bunch of customers and we said, we have mobile protection. They thought we were selling the, the covers on the mobile. And he said, mere ko already hai, mere ko hai. So that's the problem, right? So that's like, he said that already got the cover for my mobile. So we were trying to avoid the word insurance. We said, we're going to protect your mobile. He said, already have, I bought it like for 500 rupees from Sadr, right? From the main market. So anyway, so let's go to the audience. Ladies and gents, you have any questions, please raise your hand, whatever the process is. We have mics, right? Who is the first one? Over there, please. Udhar bhaiya, wo samne.
Yeah, I think first of all, I would like to congratulate for excellent presentations by the panelists and the gentleman from Philippines who made a presentation, and SCCP for organizing this. I mean, we have been talking about microfinance and microinsurance. So I come from both the sectors. I'm the chairman of microfinance and the chairman of the insurance company. So I have both the perspective on that count. Yesterday, we've been talking about illiteracy or very low literacy level. My question to the panelists, and generally, even to some extent the input from ACCP, what are we collectively doing to promote educational insurance? What are we doing to promote educational insurance. I mean, if you want to really put forward education as an agenda, we need to ensure that people with low income, people who cannot afford 2 meals, how can they afford the cost of education for the children? Are we as a community doing something to promote education insurance in this country?
That's your question, actually. Go ahead.
Thank you for that question. I think it's very important. I think since yesterday we are discussing that one factor that we all need the most is creating the awareness of insurance overall. Education insurance, if you are specifically speaking about the child education insurance, but I would say it's not just one part. Overall insurance, we all need to create awareness. I know some companies do regular campaigns, but is that enough? So I would just share one thing. At one time, our competitor was doing a campaign, an insurance campaign, and someone came to me and said, look, they are doing a campaign. I said, very good. And he looked at me and I said, this is how he's helping us to promote the awareness of insurance. So when everyone plays a role, I think the market will develop. Insurance, one is through those campaigns. Other, I think what we collectively do, at least in the digital and inclusive insurance very frequently, and as VFU Life also, we have started promoting the claims. So we have claim testimonials that go out. People would not believe, but that is really a selling point. When people see claims being disbursed to their neighbors, to someone who is right across the road, they, for the first time, approach the insurance company and approach us that which was that product. And for us, maybe 100,000 or 200,000 doesn't mean anything. For that population, which is not here. So we all are agreeing since yesterday, this is not the representation of Pakistan, right? And this is not the representation of masses that we are talking about. So for them, that is really important. Third, as we all touched upon, I think to the partners that we are collaborating it, they are helping us to promote insurance. And I think, and I would like to thank SECP too, that in their 5-year roadmap, they have again put in insurance and awareness of insurance as a very important pillar. I think all the parties in this room and outside will have to collaborate, play its part, and then only the insurance awareness will be created. It is not a day's job. It is not a week, month or year's job. It is like a regular mechanism that has to start.
Thank you, Neeru. For any more questions?
Can I add something to that, please?
Yes.
I mean, we should call a spade a spade. The answer is we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything to educate customers around what insurance is. And that is just, the naked truth. The reason for that is we don't have a product for most customers. We as a non-life insurer, we don't have a product for you because we don't know who you are, what your income level is, where you live, what assets do you have, how dear those assets are to you. So we don't know you and we don't have products for you. And that is a fundamental problem that the insurance industry in Pakistan has, non-life specifically. Do try to recall when was the last time you saw an advertisement for a non-life insurer. I know the bulk of the advertisements that you see for insurance are life insurance. And the reason or the consequent result is typically when you think of insurance, you here is generally people, they think of life insurance. It's advertisement or marketing or spreading awareness, that is how it works. But fundamentally, the problem has been we have not had products for the masses. And so you see masses not taking up our products. So the work that needs to go into it is collaborating with partners who can help us understand our customers better. Then we can design products for them because those are the products that we will market. If we don't have a product for retail, we will not market a product for retail. We will be talking about concepts like fire insurance, property insurance, financial guarantees, which mean nothing to a person walking on the street. Like the example you gave, if we're not insuring two-wheelers, why would a person who's riding a two-wheeler care about insuring a factory? It makes no sense. So the awareness has to come from understanding customers and getting information on those customers. And so when I talked about building an ecosystem where this can be done, it would be an ecosystem where such collaborators can pitch in their bits of information. And like Neelofer said, I agree entirely. The product discussion is right at the end. Essentially, the product solves itself once you understand the customer well enough. So the work that would need to be put in is in understanding customers, and the products will come themselves.
Sure. So it's more like demand side. Yeah, definitely. It's more like demand side marketing than supply side marketing. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? You have another question? All right, go ahead. We can do that because there are no other hands raised.
Yeah, for repeating myself, but I was looking, for example, the State Life today is promoting Shadi insurance, right? Where you can insure your weddings and this and why, in the Western world where people have access to education all over the place, the moment the child is born, the first month or the first, parents start insuring for their education. I mean, when we are talking creating awareness, when we can promote Shadis, why can't we collectively promote it's good for the family to insure for the education of the children? That's what I meant. You said we don't have a product, but we have a responsibility, I said, all of us collectively have a responsibility to promote product for safeguarding the education of our future generation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So any more questions? So either we have bored you or we have made it absolutely simple and clear. No questions. So I have a question. Hang on. So I have a question for actually all of you, whoever wants to volunteer. So related to education, right? So sure.
5 more minutes.
Thank you for that. So मैं तो उसको देखना ही छोड़ दिया था. So the question I have is that in relation to education insurance, that we have going to school, not going to school, and continuing, not continuing, finishing, not finishing, right? So insurance can play a role to address some of the risks, which is related to the financial ability of the parent, right? So I have been trying to solve this problem. I need your help, right? So if you see it on the face of it, you say that go to schools, and use that as a channel. But in reality, all of us have done that. It doesn't work. It's a terrible idea. So what are your thoughts? I mean, if we create an education product the way he's mentioning, and we take Zan's point, we create it ground up, it's there, right? What's the go-to-market? What's the approach to the parents? Whoever wants to volunteer. I mean, we can take two views. Saik, you want to go? Yes, go.
Yeah, I think I'll go. So in creating awareness is obviously key that we all agree to. There are 3 prongs approach that I think we can create awareness. One is branding, educational videos or awareness, which no one wants to take the first step because every insurer thinks if we do the expense in the branding, the other insurer, the penetration will increase, and on our expense, the other insurer will take the revenue share. So there needs to be a collaborative approach where they give a certain portion of branding to a common organization, and they do the education for the entire industry. Either it could be led by SCCP or within the insurance council or the committee. The second would be the mandatory insurance. So there are a few insurances, for example, third-party liability, that's mandatory by SCCP, but SCCP doesn't have the best collaboration with the rest of the government departments. So the execution is missing from, let's say, the excise duty. So around the world, the awareness is increased by the mandatory insurances that the government imposes. And the third would be, I forgot I had the point,
No
to be
problem.
honest. Yeah.
Maybe later. So anyone else has anything to add to that?
A very quick point that I would on this question agree with Zen. The education insurance that we currently have is for a certain segment size. It is for the middle income and above. For understanding the education insurance for the masses, we again need to go that route. And we have very recently started. When we go into deep down, understanding the cycle of the journey of the customer, the child when he's in school or he's in college, the traditional insurance plan doesn't work in collaboration. Yes, as a standalone product, one-off product being pitched to you, it can work. But for the school, we will have to work and figure out a separate school insurance or education insurance product that is designed considering the need of the masses. And I think then only we'll be able to break this code.
Yes, Pedro.
Just a quick thought on that. But it's very interesting hearing these discussions. Based on the experience I've had with insurance education programs, I think it's useful to differentiate product information from insurance education per se. I think there's a learning process that happens by experience, the purchase and the usage of insurance. However, education and culture are public policy objectives. And when you talk about entering schools with a financial education, even a broader financial education curriculum, it tends to be received with some reluctance from teachers, because it seems like the market is trying to enter the space that is still neutral in some ways. But what I've seen working in practice is with financial education curriculums is embedding risk awareness and risk management capabilities so that people can understand the risks they face and understand the tools that are available for them to manage those risks and then decide by themselves how to manage them. I think this is how we create sort of long-term insurance culture in countries like ours.
One
Creating-
very important
Yes,
point,
yes.
the third point.
You
that I
recall
forgot.
that?
Yeah.
Yay!
Is the claims. So paying claims faster and paying more claims. So maybe micro insurance as a percentage of the GWP is a very small contributor, but they pay a lot of number of claims. So they're creating awareness at a large scale. For example, one suggestion to make the claims faster, which a lot of countries have implemented, is a common claims portal that every hospital, every insurance company has embedded into. So every insurance company has their own network of hospitals, right? But we don't have access to that. And for micro insurance, we always rely on a reimbursement. What if a customer could show their ID at a hospital and get the claim? That would be the easiest. So pay more claims and pay claims faster, pay in 2 hours, use machine learning to pay in 2 hours, 1 hour.
Pay more claims and pay faster. I think that's a
I'd-
good message to end this
I'll add
conversation.
something because time's up, but just very quickly, we shouldn't lose sight of actually adding value to what they're doing. And so if the thing we want to add value is how important is the education of their child, we need to give a look on that. Because if it's not very important, if the purpose is, sadly, have 5 kids so they can go work and they can contribute to the household income, paying for educational insurance is not going to be top of the priority. So, adding value to that, if there's something of the sort that for every child of yours that goes to school, you're eligible for a 10,000 rupee loan from National Bank of Pakistan. Something like that would actually add value and add an incentive to undertake this whole exercise.
Excellent. Now you can clap. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also had a question. Has microinsurance or maybe microfinance made you people so calm? Working on it, you people were cool, calm and cool as a cucumber. Is this the effect of microinsurance?
No, it's actually we used to be like rest of them, but we kind of we started doing things differently, and we started. Actually, I don't know. I mean, if you guys will agree. So when you you are doing something innovative, and you're giving up on the silos and the cognitive tunneling I call, you feel liberated. No, you feel like you wake up in the morning and like to go to work not for a reason which is to get salary, right? It's like
We also
several
learn
other
to be
reasons.
patient, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
I think
that was what. sense of
That is what I intended to
patience.
say. You
Thank
people were very patient. But thank you so much. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please, for our panelists and the speakers. Thank you so much. May I now request Madam Musarrat Jabin, who is the Divisional Head Executive Director of the SECP's Chairman Secretariat, International Relations Department, and is also the official spokesperson of the SECP. Ma'am, can you please come on stage and present the shields to the participants and speakers? May I also request Mr. Wazirzada Yasir to please come on stage to receive your shield as well. And as a special request from Mr. Wazirzada Yasir, he mentioned Sachedino Kaka, the efforts that he had put in making the microinsurance report. I'll also request Sachedino, who is working as an organizer for the conference, to also receive his shield from Ma'am Musarat. May I request firstly, ladies first. Nilofer, you have to go first and collect your shield, please. Thank you. Nilofer. Nilofer. Perfect. Mr. Pedro. Mr. Ali Basharat, please, sir. Mr. Rehan Bhatt. Mr. Zainul Haq Qureshi. Mr. Ishaq Kothawala. Mr. Sachedino Kaka. A big round of applause for this guy. I mean, this guy is, he seems small in size, but he's a full package. I can tell you that. And lastly, Mr. Wazeerdada Yasir. A big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. May I also request all the panelists and speakers to have a group photo with Ma'am Musarat, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Rehan sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I have few minutes. You have few minutes of me. I'm sorry for that. We would be breaking out for tea shortly, a coffee tea break. And before that, I'd like to acknowledge two of my colleagues who are not here with us. One is Miss Sophia Bibi, who is in Bali for a conference. And with a lot of effort that has been that we have put into this conference and preparing for the conference. Sophia has done a tremendous amount of work, and she is not present here, and I hope that she's listening to me. Sophia, if you're listening, thank you so much, and I'll request all of you for a big round of applause for Miss Sophia Bibi. Some of you know her, most of you won't, but she has actually done wonders for us. And the next is Miss Seher Kanwal. I know she is listening to us because she was supposed to listen to us, and she's taking notes and she's sending us support all the way from Islamabad to our core team here. Seher, thank you so much once again. When I was leaving office, I was thanking you. I thank you again from this podium, and tremendous amount of work that Seher has done. She wasn't well, but she was there at the office every day. At times she couldn't sit, but she was working. I'll request a big round of applause for Seher Kanwal. most of you don't know her, many of you would. But thank you so much to both the ladies. And I'll also have to extend a special thanks to our IT team, Mr. Harun Rashid and Mr. Harun Nawaz. I'll also like to extend thanks to Mr. Sajid Gondal. The video that you are seeing, the press releases, the press briefings, the everything, and the social media, the going live with our Nutshell partners. Sajid Gondal has played a tremendous job, so he has owned the media side of our campaign. A big round of applause for Harun Rashid, Harun Nawaz, and Mr. Mohammad Sajid Gondal. And last but not the least, Mr. Deepak Kumar Jivani. This guy deserves the biggest round of applause. He is a machine when it comes to work. He is always there, always working, always thinking, always talking, always giving you options, always giving you solutions. Deepak, a special thanks to you, sir. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't hold you much longer, but I guess we have a few minutes till tea. Till that time, you can network, and then we'll come and we'll take a short tea break. And when reconvene, I will try to reconvene shortly so that we can carry on with the next session. Thank you so much, everyone, for everything. Respected guests, may I kindly request you to please be seated? May I kindly request you to please be seated? We have a slight change in the agenda. We have with us Mr. Andrew McCartney. And Mr. Andrew McCartney is from the Asian Development Bank. And I'll request Mr. Andrew, and I'll again humbly request to all of you to kindly please be seated. And one more request would be that the panelists for the next session may kindly come forward and seat at the sofas in order to have that administrative ease. Mr. Andrew McCartney from the ADB, may I request you, sir, to please have your remarks before the for the conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate if everyone would just come back and sit down at your tables. My name's Andrew McCartney. I'm a senior financial sector specialist with Asia Development Bank. So I look after Pakistan on our sovereign side for Asian Development Bank. I've previously been leading our capital markets program here in Pakistan, and earlier this week I also got our Women Inclusive Finance program approved by our board for about 160 million. ADB is a strong supporter of insurance reform here in Pakistan. As part of the capital markets program, we touched on insurance, but realized that we actually needed a much larger, more dedicated program, and when the time was right. So we've come here today. We've had a fantastic event over the last 2 days. All credit to the SECP team. I think it's one of the best run conferences I've seen in a long time. So all credit to them. And on behalf of ADB, we're very proud to be a sponsor of this program and to be part of this exciting 2 days. Now, we see insurance as a critical financial resilience tool, and we see right now a massive opportunity for this market to scale up from where it is today, at least threefold by 2030. And what we've seen over the last couple of days, particularly with SECP's 5-year plan, is a roadmap towards that eventuality, which we are very fully supportive of. And I think it's been really great listening to the dialogues over the last 2 days. And what's clear is that there is actually enormous consensus around a lot of the issues, both from a regulatory as well as from a private sector perspective. So from ADB's perspective, we've been asked by the government to further support the insurance industry over the next few years. And what we want to do is develop, if you like, an insurance for impact program, a sector development program focused on reform and transformation across a number of areas. And that's why coming to a conference like this has been so valuable for us. And I think our concluding remarks in many ways are a call to arms. We see a big opportunity to strengthen the role of the regulator and build up the regulator, not just from the legal and regulatory side, but also for market development, because that's really what's needed now. We also need to remove a lot of the impediments. So we need to upgrade the insurance ordinance. We need to upgrade risk-based supervision, RBC, bring in IFRS 17, all these things that we've been talking about over the last couple of days. As well as that, we need to build up supply. We need to build up efficiency, whether it be in the claims process, whether it be in terms of how we deal with our clients, and we need to build up absorption capacity. And to this end, we see the strengthening of the association, the building up of insurance training and actuarial skills, and importantly, bringing the population along with the growth in the industry. So the idea, I mean, we were hearing about microinsurance earlier. I prefer to call it inclusive insurance, bringing the entire population, many of whom are from the informal sector. How do we bring everyone in to give that level of protection and support? Then we've obviously got an industry, like many markets around this region, that is still quite dominated by certain state-owned insurance companies. So here we see an opportunity to reposition them, to create a level playing field, improve transparency, but ultimately create greater capacity, both for the private sector as well as the industry as a whole. And then lastly, there's no point in building up the supply if we don't focus on demand. And there was a lot of talk about building up trust, talking about the payment of claims. I think one of the areas that needs to be a big focus is really around really pushing the mandatory insurance. At the end of the day, that is such, whilst it's not going to be easy, if we get the mandatory insurance piece right, that will change the level of our insurance penetration many, many times over. As well as that, there's obviously a need to, I know from our women program that there is a need to also build insurance and risk awareness into financial and also digital literacy programs. So to kind of conclude, we see right now in this room the entire ecosystem, from government representatives, the regulators, the private sector, international specialists and organizations. And I think together we can move forward. We think this is a great crossroads right now. We tried to build an insurance program 2 years ago. We couldn't get this level of momentum. We think now is the time, and we'd like to, as ADB, develop a program in conjunction with all stakeholders and get you involved throughout in driving this change. And that will be using policy-based lending, that will be using grants, technical assistance, our full armory of instruments that we will use over the next 2 to 3 years. So on behalf of ADB, we really look forward to embracing the industry and supporting you on this journey. And again, one last comment to massive thank you to SECP for one fantastic conference. On behalf of ADB, thank you very much. Thank you.
May I kindly request Mr. Mohammad Amir Khan, Mr. Amir Khan Sahab, to please come on stage and present shield to Mr. Andrew McCartney. A round of applause. I've said it so many times, I've skipped it. For the ADB for being us with this event, for sponsoring it, as well as to our other sponsors, Karandaz and the Society of Actuaries. Thank you so much for helping us for this event, and that has actually helped a lot of our cause as well. Thank you, Mikart. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the last session of the conference, and then we would be having our closing, which would be graced by the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, which is Justice Retired Mr. Maqbool Baqi. Before that, we have the last session, which is Exploring the Cornerstone, a grand session on collaboration, technology, and innovation. A lot of thought was actually poured into making this panel. You see at the head of an insurance company, you'll see an insurtech, or for that matter, a microfinance provider, you'll see Karandaz, you'll see an asset management company, you'll see CDC. So we have this, an expert on microinsurance. So we have this great panel. I would like to introduce firstly Mr. Sardar Abu Bakr, who is the head of FinTech Future at Jazz. He has more than 20 years of experience across several countries in Europe and Asia. He is a recipient of Global Innovation Award from IT and UN for digital accelerator work. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Sardar Abu Bakr, who is our moderator for the session. A big round of applause, please. Thank you. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Badiuddin Akbar, who is the CEO of the Central Depository Company Pakistan Limited, Badi Saab has more than 20 years of diversified senior management experience in the field of finance and operations. He has served in various renowned conglomerates in Pakistan as head of finance and company secretary. I would now like to call upon Mr. Muhammad Ali Ahmed, who is the MD and CEO of EFU Life Assurance. I guess Ali was also on the floor yesterday, and he has 29 years of professional experience. Then I'd like to call upon Mr. Waqasul Hassan, who is the CEO of our co-sponsor Karandaz. Mr. Hassan has rich impact investment experience and specializes in private sector development and use of wide range of development finance instruments for SME finance, microfinance, digital financial inclusion, climate finance, and infrastructural finance. Then I'd like to call upon Mr. Yasir Qadri, who is the CEO of UBL Fund Managers. Mr. Qadri has about 20 years of asset management experience in different positions. He has served as the CEO of leading AMCs for the last 12 years. We have with us two panelists online. Mr. Numan Bashir had to join us. Unfortunately, he couldn't travel. Mr. Numan Bashir is the CEO and co-founder of Ozone Digital. Numan Bashir is a seasoned insurance industry professional with almost 2.5 decades work experience, over 14 of which lies in general insurance industry. And we also have with us Mr. Richard Leffley, who is the Chief EIR at ARK Video Venture Studio. He pioneered microinsurance starting in 2002 when he founded MicroInsure, which became the global leading insurtech, providing insurance to over 64 million in 12 countries across Africa and Asia. In 2020, Mr. Richard co-founded MIC Global, which became a leading reinsurer underwriting products globally via its Lloyd's syndicate. I'd like to welcome all the panelists, and over to you, Mr. Abubakar. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I think this is the last panel before the closing note, so we're going to try and keep it engaging and interesting. First, to my friends online, just wanted to confirm whether you can hear me loud and clear. Little thumbs up if you can. Fantastic. I think when we speak about insurance in Pakistan, I think we should also link it to human dignity. Everyone deserves human dignity. If someone has a health calamity, if someone loses a job, if someone runs a business and wants to protect their assets, if someone needs financing, if someone needs saving, someone should not be able to or only have to go to someone and say, "Mujhe help kare." And for me, and I think for a lot of us over the last 2 days, it's been heartening to see the focus on this. Okay, insurance should be about protecting and enhancing human dignity, number one, first and foremost. And secondly, about spurring the economy forward. We are a nation geographically and otherwise as well, where having safeguards such as insurance will actually propel the economy forward. But we've got some way to go. With less than 1% claims to GDP or premiums to GDP penetration, I think we've got some way to go. और उसमें कोलैबोरेशन और इनोवेशन का बहुत बड़ा रोल होना चाहिए. अब वो हम पे है और मैं अपने एस्टीम्ड पैनलिस्ट से पूछूंगा कि वो क्या रुकावट है? What stops us from collaborating and really scaling insurance? How many of you remember the time when there used to be only fixed line operators in the telco world and no mobile operators? How many remember when international call milani padti thi, you would have to go and connect to an operator and you would ask, do you want to dial a 3-minute call or a 6-minute call? You remember that? How quickly have we gone to a phase now where we have about 100 million unique customers? And I say 180 million quote nahi kara, 100 million unique isliye keh raha hu because there's a lot of dual SIMs in Pakistan. Also opening up a bank account. For the first time recently, the accounts opened through wallets exceeded a number of accounts opened through brick and mortar bank branches. Now it's up to us. Either we will disrupt the insurance sector like this, or we will get disrupted. Fair enough, guys? Good starting point. Ali, I want to start with you. Before we get into the functional aspects of collaboration and innovation, too little is spoken about the skills we need within organizations to actually take forward these collaborations. Too many a time we do not have a clear view कि किसके साथ partner करना है, कहाँ पे value create की जा सकती है, MOU के signing के बाद कुछ achieve करना भी है या नहीं. You had an insurance company, a fantastic organization as well. How would you look at the skills we need going forward to revolutionize the space to propel insurance to scale?
Thank you, Abu Bakr. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, once again. So I am all for collaboration. I'm a great proponent of working together because being part of a large financial services institution, one of the largest insurance companies in the country, I always believe that we cannot do everything ourselves. So either we take the painful route of creating everything internally and then trying to work through that, or we find like-minded, right partners who are out there who probably can do a better job in terms of what we want to achieve. So we have our own speciality. We have our own strengths as organization, but then maybe I can probably elaborate on this through an example of EFU Life, what we've done in the last maybe 6-7 years. So we are an organization which has its own legacy. We have our own principles. We move in a certain way. We have a business model that has been working for us for the last so many years. But then when we did decide that we wanted to go down the route of enhancing innovation within the organization, and also look at alternative, or not alternative, but alternate business models which can augment and support our core business model. So we had a choice that we could spend a lot of money and we could spend a lot of time creating whatever we needed internally, or we could go out, talk to people and find partners. Sure. And I decided to take the route of going out and collaborating. Now, you're absolutely right. So we signed an agreement, we signed an MOU, but then from the point of signing that agreement to actual realization of whatever business we're trying to achieve, it can take a long time. Yeah. And for us, it did take a long time. Not because there was any inefficiency in what we were trying to do, but because maybe what we wanted to do, the market was not ready for it. So we said, okay, let's create partnerships and just let's work with the partners, even if there is no business coming in. So the first 2-3 years, we brought on board 5, 10, 15, 20 partners. In the previous session, my colleague, she did talk about it. So today, we have like 30, 35 partners in our ecosystem, which includes payment platforms, it includes MFIs, MFBs, telcos, ride-hailing services, digital aggregators. And now we're starting to see the fruit of taking that route of creating partnerships. Now, the sort of skill set that you need, before that, what you need is patience. This doesn't happen quickly. Until all the enablers are on ground, they come together. Until the stars are aligned, things don't happen. So yes, you can have the best product, you can have the right intent. Your partner can have the best service and their own product and the right intent. But then if on ground, maybe it's a regulatory environment, maybe it is something else that needs to come together. So for us, that started to happen about 4 or 5 years ago. And when our partners started to see the value that they could achieve out of partnering with us, and we could see the value of partnering with various entities. The skill set that we tried to create internally was, again, something that was mentioned earlier, was that we looked at all of this with a startup mindset. We said, look, let's not worry about failing. Let's not worry about taking a bit of time. But and we built a team. We built a small team which, in a way, had a different mindset from the rest of the organization. So we brought in people who had fresh ideas. We brought in people who could do business development for us. We brought in people who were good at going and scouting out for partners. And also, I think what really helped us and also helped the industry at large was that we engaged very frequently with our regulator, SSCP, and just trying to tell them, look, what we're trying to do, where do we need the support? And we found them to be very, very open. And I can, to some extent, proudly say that a lot of regulatory direction that has been taken on digital insurance, mobile network operators, bring them into the loop. Some of that has the input of EFU Life in terms of driving it. So this is my take on collaboration and why I think that is the way forward. Whether you're a small company or you're a large company, if you want to move forward quickly, find the right partners who understand what you're trying to achieve, and then I think things can be done fairly quickly.
Thanks, Ali. Richard, I want to bring you into the conversation here. When we speak about insurance tech and digitization and collaboration, sometimes it's about, sometimes we mistake it to be around buzzwords rather than the problem to be solved. Technology has always been there. It's been an enabler. It's about the customer problems that need to be solved is where we can prioritize collaboration, the right partnerships, and then the technology we need, whether that's on customer onboarding, whether that's awareness, whether that's claim settlement. You have fantastic experience from multiple markets, including Africa and Pakistan. When you look at us, where we are in our journey towards an insured Pakistan, as this conference is highlighting, where do you see us right now in terms of innovation and collaboration? What do you think we should be focusing on as we speak? Richard, give us a second. We can't hear you. Jibran? Richard ki awaaz audible, we can't hear him. Just give us 10 seconds, Richard.
Sure, no problem.
Oh, we can hear you loud and clear now, Richard. Go ahead, please.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't be with you today, but greetings from the UK, where it's very cold, and I would love to be in Pakistan, frankly. I mean, look, I think the key issue here is that as an industry, we get very focused, and I'm talking here as an insurance guy, right? So as the insurance industry, we get very focused on, kind of, look, if I build this product or if I deploy this technology, then people will magically wake up and want to buy insurance. And I think the truth of the matter is that we have to acknowledge that, frankly, no one wakes up in the morning wanting to buy insurance, right? None of us do. And if you are from the low income or the middle income sector, you wake up with many things on your mind. And I can assure you that insurance is the last thing on your mind. So the best partnerships, the way to make this work is you're right, is understanding what it is that the consumer wants. But it's also, and this is what I think most people kind of don't get right, is understanding what's in it for the distribution part. So when we're talking about microinsurance, when we're talking about the man on the street, we can't go and sell directly to that individual. It's just not cost effective. If you're selling a product with a very low premium, you can't go house by house selling insurance in the traditional way that insurance has been sold. It has to be embedded into some other good or service. So whether it's a bank account, whether it's a purchase of airtime or purchase of data, whether it's embedded into a mobile wallet or into an overseas kind of money remittance, and wherever it's embedded, it needs to be embedded into that service. And my experience is that the best products and services are ones where we've taken time to understand how the product is aligned with the needs of the telco or the bank or the ride-hailing service. How do we make the telco a better telco? How do we help them to acquire more customers, to retain those customers, to make more revenue from those customers? If we think of it through that kind of mindset, then that's where we have success. So when we use insurance to help the telco be a better telco or the bank be a better bank, that's where we get the breakthroughs. And I think if we look into Pakistan, we can find examples of that. If we look globally, we can find examples of that. But all too often, it's not the way that the insurance industry thinks. And of course, technology is an essential component of getting that right, of removing friction from the customer journey, of making the products very user-friendly. But at the end of the day, if we don't understand how insurance can be used to drive forward the telco's core business, or the bank's core business, or the ride-hailing core business, then we will fail as an industry to reach the people that need these products most.
Thanks for those perspectives, Richard. Badruddin Saab, sir, CDC plays an integral role in various facets of the financial ecosystem. RDA, IMLAC, other aspects as well. Why don't you share with the audience what CDC has been doing in some of these facets that I spoke about, and we'd love to get your perspective in terms of the innovation and collaboration potential with the insurance sector.
Thank you very much. Central depository companies do not have any direct relation with the insurance industry, but it is a classic example in Pakistan for the collaboration and the innovation. The depository itself is developed and it's come into existence for the depository of the shares and securities in the stock market. And over the period of time, what we have achieved so far, it is all because of the innovation and the collaboration with the different asset classes and across the industry participant. Right now, CDC is acting as enabler in the financial ecosystem of Pakistan by providing services not only to the stock market, we are providing service to the mutual fund industry, for the insurance industry, and for the banking industry as well. So, and how we can gain this trust and confidence, this is all because of the strong internal processes and systems, and above all, the highly state-of-the-art IT infrastructure. And with the help of this IT infrastructure, we have tried to innovate time to time various products, services, not only for the stock market, but all for the financial landscape of Pakistan. As you said, how we collaborate not only with the stock market, we collaborate with the banks and the State Bank as well. You know, in the recent past, we have collaborated with the State Bank for the RD account investment in the stock market. They are talking about when they start the RD function in Pakistan, they are thinking about how to routing the investment directly in the stock market through the RD account holders. They choose the CDC as a central hub because CDC is by nature is an infrastructure institution and position itself as an enabler in the stock market. So we providing the information sharing hub between the non-resident Pakistanis, the State Bank and the stock market, and provide complete end-to-end settlement from their fund into stock market, and they can repatriate their fund directly from Pakistan to their respective countries. So this is one part. And with this trust, State Bank of Pakistan then again collaborate with us. If you heard about the micropayment gateway, this with the brand name the RAST, the State Bank choosing CDC as a trusted partner for the first use case for the disbursement of the dividend, which is about more than billions of rupees of dividend we have processed through the RAST processing. And then again, with this trust, State Bank again choosing CDC for the new payment mechanism with the P2P, the person-to-person payment mechanism, which we transmit this payment mechanism for the use of the mutual fund industry for the sale of unit. We are also working with the State Bank for the next phase of the person-to-merchant payment mechanism, whereby the payment can be routed directly from person to directly into the account of the merchant, and then the transaction can be occurred. These all collaboration routed through the stock market and then to the mutual fund and the capital market entities as well. So with the collaboration of CDC over the period of time, with the help of the regulator, we are collaborating with the mutual fund industry. After so many years, we have started the trustee function for the mutual fund industry, and right now we have about more than 98% of the trustee function we are providing to the mutual fund industry. And above that, as in the earlier presentation, Almas was referring the Imlaq Financial, we have created a portal, a centralized portal for the Imlaq Financial, which is a one-stop shop for all the mutual funds, whereby you can buy and sell the one-stop shop for all the mutual funds over there, onboarding, centralized onboarding over there. This is a classic example of the collaboration with the market and market participant and the industry participant. As you earlier said, how the collaboration started. Collaboration started with the signing of the MOU, and then you explore the opportunities and with effective strategic partnership with the industry and the collaboration. And second part is that we have recently started the centralized gateway portal, CGP. You know, it is a unique example. It's a unique case for the Pakistan. As per the international best practices, we have started onboarding. The basic and the fundamental problem in Pakistan for any industry is the onboarding of their customer. So with the effective use of technology, with the innovative ideas and collaboration, we have created a centralized portal whereby you can open your account directly. And this is the first time in Pakistan that this account is used not only for the stock market. Once you open an account, with your permission, your account can be transmitted to the mutual fund industry, to the insurance industry, to the mercantile exchange. Whenever you want, you do not need to repeat your information provision one by one to every broker, mutual fund provider, and the insurance sector. So this is all because in this project, we have collaborated simultaneously with the stock exchange. We have collaborated with the insurance industry. We have collaborated with the mutual fund. So these are the perfect example of the collaboration. So over the period of time, what I think and what I whenever you have a strong financials, you have the strong technological advancement. You should leverage your technology with the trusted partners and for the benefit of the masses. So this is our role. With the help of our regulator, we are continuously providing such role to the market. And we are also working other project like, if I continue with the insurance industry, we are working with the insurance very closely with insurance industry as well. We are providing a centralized information sharing solution for the insurance industry, whereby various register has been centralized, developed for the claim register, agent register, malpractices by the agents, so that the insurance company can underwrite right decision, informed decision on the basis of that. And recently, we have also developed a centralized insurance repository for the life insurance policies. Right now, we have 3.6 million policies in the repository, whereby all these information, the selected information, can be shared among the insurance industry, so that they take the informed decision on the basis of the information available. And best part is that whenever the entity like CDC, we do not have any direct conflict of interest with any business of the collaborative partner.
Yeah.
This is the classic example that if the entity like CDC is there, do not have any direct interest of the respective business of the collaborative partner, so that create a trust level for that. So we are here, we are always welcome all the market participants, whatever they want to use the technological infrastructure of CDC, they are most welcome. And we are continuously improving and innovating the product and services with the help of the collaboration and signing of them. And one thing more, we have signed many MOUs over the period of time in the 25 years, but it's going to materialize only few. For example, we have signed MOUs with the land repository system, but not going to work out. But it doesn't mean we have to be frustrated. We have continue exploring the new opportunities and new trusted partners for the benefit of the Pakistani people, and for provide all the technological support to the all the trusted partners in the industry.
I just want to link what Badi Saab and Richard said, coming to you, Numan. There needs to be, I think, a consensus that there is a viable business case for insurance. This is not a CSR activity, because an activity that is CSR will never scale to reach every single Pakistani, and it has to be economically viable. Now, Numan, you had a sort of a digital platform for insurance. Globally, we have seen the valuations of Lemonade, which sells through AI chatbot. We see the valuations of Policy Bazaar. Yes, they've fallen. Yes, they have come down from maybe $6 billion to $2 billion, but $2 billion is still close to the amount of loan we go to IMF for, right? So $2 billion is still a pretty decent valuation in my book. Now, we understand that in Pakistan, the smartphone penetration is 50%. But in a perfect world, and tell me if I'm being too idealistic here, the distribution strength of a telco, the power of digital financial services that we now have, with a platform that can actually distribute and reach every Pakistani with personalized, contextualized services. What do you think we can do in this realm in Pakistan? And please tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come over, and thanks a lot SCCP to SCCP for actually hosting this wonderful conference. So a little bit about our journey. I think first, so for myself and the company, we started this off about 4 years back, and it was based on the experiences that we had in the industry. So I've worked in the industry for a very long time, and I've been an underwriter by profession. So whatever learning and whatever pains and the challenges that I went through in the industry were the starting point to establish ozone for us in here in Pakistan. Okay, so what we understood throughout the experience that we had in the industry is that unless and until you have those specific pain points that you're addressing in terms of technology. Richard was mentioning a few things in terms of, you just simply cannot use technology to give you all the, all the numbers that you're expecting. You need to have, some kind of an association or attachment to the use case for that particular technology. So what we did was that Ozone was actually set up based on those use cases. And what we focused on was actually the heart and soul of the insurance industry, which is the insurance industry's value chain. And when we looked at the insurance industry's value chain, we understood that there are so many issues and challenges that the industry goes through, that we can actually address. So coming back to the likes of Lemonade and the Policy Bazaars and the likes in the rest of the world. So they've actually picked up few areas, specific areas that they're trying to address. It's not that they are doing everything, right? So Lemonade, for example, they picked up maybe certain lines of businesses, policy issuance and an end-to-end journey and an experience to handle the customer that he can actually relate to, or she can actually relate to, and get it off, and get serviced around that. If you look at the likes of Policy Bazaar, it's 13 or 14 years of experience that they have got. We've got millions of customers on board. But primarily the focus is aggregation, broker aggregation platform that they've got, and providing that service, collecting all the insurance companies' products and offering it up to the market. So in Pakistan, if I look at what opportunities exist, I would like to sort of echo some of the sentiments that I heard in the previous session, specifically from Zain and I think a couple of other gentlemen as well, what to do with having right products. And I think to have the right use case built up for the industry here in Pakistan, the importance is to have the right kind of product that would actually be associated or can be associated for any collaboration, can be associated with any segment. The challenge that we've had in the industry in the past has been primarily that we build products based on what we think our products should look like rather than outward in, which is basically from a customer standpoint. And I think that is what the opportunity window lies, at least in Pakistan. And for that, if I look at some of the other areas that were kind of spoken earlier on, I think lifestyle-related insurances, some things that are personal to the people at large in Pakistan, right? And if, for example, education was mentioned earlier on, it can be to do with travel, it can be to do with many other use cases that you go through, health-related, family-related, that you can actually have products around. And if you want to go for the scale, that's where you need to have those tools like what we've built to reach out. And that's unfortunately what has been missing within the industry to reach out for those use cases. Generally speaking, I know there's been a lot of effort that has been, conducted by various insurance companies in their domains, and they've been successful as well. But I think what we believe is that, those models that you referred to and those billion-dollar companies have actually, got to that level by actually hitting the requirements out there in the industry. So our platform, to sum it up, actually helps you get to those segments and looking at everything that happens within the value chain of the insurance industry.
Brilliant. How many of us or how many of the audience has traveled here by air for this conference? Just via show of hands. If you were to be offered, sir, insurance at the time of buying an air ticket, would you consider it? Yes. Would you consider buying travel insurance when you have no plans to travel over the next 60 days? Probably not. How many of us have a smartphone in this hall, including the SCCP friends we have here? गलत कह रहे हैं, smartphones ज़्यादा होंगे hall में. FBR नहीं बैठा हुआ इधर. How many of us have smartphones? When you bought a smartphone, and when you bought a smartphone for a family member, I would guess that is probably a good time where you would want to buy smartphone-related breakage insurance. Yeah, fair enough. So there is clearly a need for having a customer segmentation, a use case-based approach, and leveraging technology and physical distribution to then solve that problem. Our friends at Karan Das have been doing an amazing job because of over many, many years in driving and helping us drive financial inclusion. You have worked with State Bank of Pakistan and other industry players as well for a number of good initiatives. When you see this sector, and you see it in the realm of driving financial inclusion rather than insurance as a segregated activity. Because really our pitch should be insurance is an essential part of driving financial inclusion. What is your view and how is Karan Das trying to help towards enabling this cause?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I was just thinking that, in my journey of 15, 20 years of financial inclusion or working with the State Bank of Pakistan and SCCP and others, how many times insurance has actually figured as a serious financial inclusion activity? Let me confess and share with you that maybe if I talk about, percentage terms, maybe it would be less than 2-3% even. And I was just thinking that why is that so? And I shared with you something which happened in the microfinance industry. So people who are in the room, maybe from the PMN or others who are aware of the microfinance journey in this country, some 2 decades ago, the microfinance industry in this country did not exist at all. So what happened that Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund was created through a World Bank program, which then seeded many institutions across the country. And then from that, later on, the further regulations of the microfinance institutions to banks came. I think initially there were 1 or 2 institutions which were created with special acts as well. Now, all of that, why it happened? Because the policymakers at a certain level were convinced that microfinance has a role to play. It contributes to the economic development. It contributes to the GDP contribution. It contributes to building resilience in the country. I think, unfortunately, if you ask me, and don't hold me to account on this, I think on the insurance, this general narrative does not exist. So if you talk to any of the regulators, or even for that matter, I have seen multilaterals programs coming one after the other. Most of the programs would perhaps be on the same beaten track of what happened 15, 20 years ago, one program after the other. But you don't see them going out of that fold even. Why? Because the insurance industry has not been able to highlight its importance. I'm not talking about importance only at the level of individuals, but also more importantly at what it contributes to economy when we are speaking resilience. And that's why I think one of the major push which the industry requires in the form of hand-holding initially, and in some sense the experimentation that you're talking about, embedded insurance, offering mobile, etc. That all would come once we see the industry or as a sector highlighted at that level with that requisite importance. I make another confession. Say we designed Karan Das Financial Inclusion Survey a couple of years ago, which is the only survey which is conducted locally by a local institution for the local market. Most of the surveys which happen in the country on the financial inclusion side are either multilateral designed surveys, which may not be exactly having the same frame, but are applied here, data is collected. Sometimes you miss very important information. So in Karan Das Financial Inclusion Survey 2, we did not include insurance. Because though in the standard definition of financial inclusion, you would always find insurance, that if you have access to insurance, you're financially included. But we did not include it, or even if we included it, it was not really, the information was not captured in that granular detail. So I would say the first and foremost important thing, and industry also has a responsibility, that they need to build the right narrative where it is impressed on the policymakers that it deserves the attention of the policy as well as of some form of subsidy initially. To date, commercial banks exist, but SME finance is receiving subsidy every year. There are refinancing lines, there is risk coverage, there is whatnot, whatever is available. A whole SMIDA also exists, but and the track record has been mixed over the years of several such programs. But on the insurance side, we don't see such a thing. Now, Since you have given me mic, one thing which I would like to mention here is, which comes out of KFIS, is that which industry must take notice of, and I think in some sense it was mentioned in some conversations, you also mentioned in your opening lines, that Pakistan has made important strides when it comes to financial inclusion in the last couple of years. From 21% to 30% are now considered included. And then there are granular details of how mobile money. The important element in all of this jump has been basically the access of mobile money and the mobile money users. So whatever innovation now has to happen, I think industry has taken a note, and it's a great initiative that it's happening, will happen through InsurTech. So it provides an opportunity of that quantum leap, which could not happen earlier. So whatever lobby that you do in the private sector space, I think should be in that particular realm. I'll borrow from what Richard was saying, that as insurance is not bought, it's sold. So it needs to be sold at the right level as an instrument too.
Brilliant. Yasir Sahab. Sir, usually hota hai, if we, and sorry, I'll go back to English, if we're surrounded by the same kind of people in organizations as well and in our professional lives, we kind of generally get the same kind of feedback, right? You come from an AMC background, heading one of the largest asset management companies. When you look at the insurance sector, and of course you do collaborate with the insurance sector, but you're not an insurance company. You're not a digital platform, living, breathing, selling insurance. What are the biggest bottlenecks and opportunities you see from a collaboration and innovation perspective, especially given the fact that AMCs over the last few years, several years, fair to say, have attracted a sizable customer base, raised awareness as well, and are continuing on that journey? You're not there, but there is a growing understanding of what that business model is. We can scale it even more. So using some of that expertise, how do you view the biggest opportunities for collaboration and innovation in the insurance sector?
First of all, I think thank you for inviting me here. And I think we must give credit where it's due. It's a wonderful conference. It's after a long time that I've attended a conference of this quality. But coming back, and also now I know why I'm here, Abu Bakr, and the perspective that you would want. But I would like to actually step back a little bit. And I think we also need to appreciate that we can use this platform for a collaborative effort, for synergies, and for exploring other opportunities, but also for advocacy. And while we can measure growth of our industries in two ways. In the perspective of where we are today as an insurance industry or as an asset management industry or other financial services, or where we really are placed in the larger scheme of things. And when we actually put ourselves in that context, we have a decimal point to the left. And so that growth is really not significant enough. So I guess some of those decisions would need to be made at the policy maker level, perhaps beyond our pay grades. And someone there, I think, need to recognize that pensions, for instance, are becoming increasingly an existential threat for our country. Our ever widening fiscal deficit will never ever allow savings rate to increase. And all of what we discussed today is a function of that savings rate at the end of the day. So if we don't have even a normalized savings rate, it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, our public savings rate is, as everyone is aware, is not just lowest in the region, it's probably one of the lowest in the world. So that needs to be put in place, I think, and before anything else happens meaningfully. Having said that, I think, yes, you're right. I mean, the asset management industry has done reasonably well. We should be doing better. But that is growth on what we've done last year. So which was to start with not a significant number. So that, to me is probably not the right way of looking at it. And to set it in the right perspective, we should be viewed as a percentage of GDP, as most developed countries do. And for that to happen, I think the government needs to make very, very significant reforms. The good thing is that we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Voluntary pension schemes that the KP government just initiated. I was kind of privy to that part of that process with SCCP and the KP government, and really was, a bit of a cynic actually. I really didn't think we'd be able to pull it through, for a government institution to put in place that kind of technology, collaborate with private sector, engage with the regulators. And it took a little while, but it was done, I think. So so there's an opportunity. And now coming back to your question, we've, with insurance companies, we have collaborated. I mean, the asset management industry for many years. I remember working closely with an insurance company to build an insurance wrapper product back in, I think, was it 2001 or 2002? So more than 20 years ago. And even the regulator was very forthcoming. So we could get all the regulatory approvals, and we signed up with a local bank to distribute it. But it didn't really fly. I mean, at least as much as we would have really liked to. And then slowly we moved away from that retail business to institutional business. And that's really where we are getting all our growth from. So in terms of penetration, I think even the asset management company really hasn't done all that well. Yes, if you compare it with whatever the domestic scenario is, we, for instance, have more UINs than the Pakistan Stock Exchange investors. So yes, that's a good number. But when you look at it in terms of what our population size is, what our GDP is, I don't even care to remember what that number is. It's so insignificant. So also, I think what is encouraging now, after I think the other provincial governments, federal governments, other institutions are probably going to gradually move away from defined benefit pensions, and we perhaps see more defined benefit contribution schemes, and which would then actually pave way for insurance companies and asset management companies to collaborate. So this maybe we were too ahead of time when we did it then, and maybe now is the time. The right kind of technology in place with distribution platforms such as banks are offering, MLAC is there, payment platforms such as RAS. I think that will also catalyze the whole process. But more importantly, if we can, for instance, we've never had a market for annuity products with insurance companies. And I think asset management companies can collaborate with insurance companies to actually build customized annuity products, because Pakistan is a unique market in many ways. Yes, there are economic issues, but also there are social and cultural issues. For instance, we like leaving legacies, when we pass away. That's not in how it is in the developed world. So we have to tailor make our products accordingly. So we have to work on different kinds of annuity schemes, perhaps. But if we've started one provincial government with voluntary pension schemes, and if there are more to come, I think this is the time, and it's a great platform to initiate that, where we sit together, put our heads together, and actually start working on those products. Because we've actually, as of today, the first inflow of funds actually came in today. So from the KP government, so we have the inflows now, we have the product in place, but when these people retire, we don't have an annuity plan in place for them as yet. So we need to pave that way from a regulatory standpoint, and we need to, between us, collaborate and, kind of create that product, be it in shape of variable annuities, fixed annuities, we need to start brainstorming and putting that together. I feel very strongly also about sharing, I think, distribution, digital distribution platforms. Many of us have now rather mature digital distribution platforms. We have a very strong regulatory cover now for those. So it's a very stable environment. And I think that's where we can collaborate with things like insurance wrapped mutual fund based, saving schemes, etc. So yeah, so so there's a lot that we can do together. But like I said, to sum it up, that a lot more will need to be done at the level of the policymaker to actually, for all this to make a significant impact and contribute towards the economy, not only towards the growth of these companies.
Brilliant. In a while, I'm going to ask the panelists and just some time to get your thoughts together on it. What are the two most tangible opportunities you see and focus areas? We must have must-win battles. If we try and do 100 things, we won't be able to do any of them. But if you know, okay, I'm going to experiment and pivot, but I have these 5 must-win battles, what would those two be for scaling insurance across Pakistan? But before I come to that, and just so that there's some time to think over it, Richard, I want to bring you back into the conversation and wrapping a customer lens on innovation. Now, theoretically, you would argue that a lot of insurance companies either don't have the only relationship with the customer when it comes to financial services, because a customer would also work with banks on financial services, or B, insurance is being sold through other intermediaries such as telcos. Customers, like we do in personal lives, we rely on trust, an ecosystem player who we can trust that they have, good intent with us. In terms of scaling innovation from a customer perspective, do you see that the future of insurance is bundling within a mobile wallet play, bundling within a telco physical distribution network, bundling through and offering it through various services through an IVR platform, through CDC, through AMC, through other channels? Or do you see that the future of insurance is still going to be, in 10 years' time, an insurance company having the whole soul relationship with the customer, while other ecosystem players have similar but different relationships with the customer?
So I think history here is useful in instructing the response to your question. Insurance companies have been in Pakistan for many, many decades, and yet take-up of insurance is very low. But 1 or 2% of the population have insurance. So if we just keep trying to sell insurance through the insurance companies, then the answer is that 1 or 2% of the population will have access to insurance. The reason, so I think the answer to your question is that if we want to succeed in scaling up insurance, the only way to go is by bundling it with services like mobile apps, like mobile phone companies, like ride-hailing, etc. And the reason for this is very, very simple. It's all to do with trust. You see, if you're a Jazz customer, I know that's something close to your heart. If you're a Jazz customer, then you trust Jazz because you have many reasons to trust Jazz. When you buy airtime, you top up your phone, it works. And you do this on a regular basis. When you send money to your friend through the mobile app, it works. And so you use Jazz, it works, you therefore trust Jazz. Whereas if you think about insurance, what do? You buy the insurance, you pay the premium once a year, and you hope not to use it. And so my experience is that frequency of use equates to trust. If you think about the brands that we trust, they're the brands that we use on a regular basis. When I order a taxi through Uber, it arrives, it works, I trust Uber. When I use my bank, when I take my ATM card, when I put my salary into the bank, it appears in the bank account. When I take my ATM card to the ATM, it works. And so, those are the examples of brands that we use frequently, and they reinforce in our minds that if you use this brand, what they're selling to me works. And so, if Jazz, if Telenor, if whoever turns around and says, okay, if you get sick, if you pay some money to me, if you get sick, I will take care of you. People believe it because they have every reason to believe that their experience of those brands is trustworthy. So, I think that, the truth of the matter is that people don't trust insurance companies. Are insurance companies bad companies? No, I don't think so. Admittedly, they haven't had a great history of paying claims very quickly, and that's maybe why people don't trust them. But the truth of the matter is that they're not bad companies. Insurance companies are, actually, they do care about people. But actually, people don't trust them because they don't interact with insurance companies that frequently. So they don't have that many opportunities to find out whether or not insurance companies are trustworthy as compared to other brands. So I would say bundling with brands that people use on a regular basis is the only way that you're going to reach scale. And then just whilst I have the microphone, to answer your question of what is the thing that we absolutely have to do,
Please.
I would say it's to do with payments. So, the biggest barrier is where there's friction. So if it's, I think that we have to overcome apathy. The man on the street is apathetic. He doesn't care about insurance.
Yeah.
So if you make it hard for him to sign up for or to pay for the insurance, then he just can't be bothered. He says, oh, it's too difficult, I can't be bothered, I'll think about it tomorrow. And then he never does think about it again. And so, if we could remove friction and pain from paying premiums in regular small installments, that's the biggest thing that we can do to help with the take-up of insurance. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Richard. Noman, what are the one or two things we need to focus on? Richard spoke about breaking up the payments processes, making them simpler, bite-sized. That's where the whole model of getting to masses comes from. Top two could be regulatory interventions, could be interventions from an innovation customer journey perspective, internal automation efficiency. Over to you, Noman.
Thank you. So from my side, I think from Pakistan's perspective, I think the lowest hanging fruit today sits with the mandatory insurances that haven't really been enforced. So if I look at it from a third-party insurance perspective, it's such a huge opportunity. And I think a lot of us in this conference have spoken about it. So that's one of the things. So what it reflects is, a regulatory support or supported initiative in terms of making sure that the mandatory insurances are enforced. And secondly, I think the second area that I would kind of relate is to do with the lifestyle-related insurances. And the reason why I say lifestyle-related insurances is because those are the areas which affect and impact all of us at some point in time during our lifetime. Okay, whether it's to do with our with our assets at home, whether it's to do with even wedding-relevant insurances, which we heard earlier on, or any other thing, right? So the product-relevant innovation for retail customers is exactly what we need today. We've done a lot in terms of institutional products, and we've come a long way for that. But when it comes to retail customers and retail products, we are far behind, in terms of getting that scale. So I think those are the two, apart from the common everybody knows in this hall, and that's awareness and education. That's a common thing anyway.
Very good. Thank you so much, Noman. Thank you for being with us. 8 minutes left, and we'll try and invite some comments from the audience as well. Over to you. The same question to each of you.
Before having any question from the audience, I'm not an insurance industry expert, but as a general observer, what exactly the problem is we are facing, the similar problem we are facing in the stock market and similar problem facing for the awareness and the education. Awareness and the opportunities are arriving from these bottlenecks as well. and the very limited distribution channels we have for the insurance industry. For the awareness and education, I believe most of the people in Pakistan do not understand the importance and benefits of the insurance, and they carry risks without having proper insurance for their life and properties. That is the biggest area that need to look into it. In our childhood, there are so many ads going through for the life insurance, and still we remember some famous jingle at that time from the State Life, "Ae Khuda mere Abbu Salamat Rahen," like that. We are not, these days, there are no such type of ads there, so that the industry, in our previous panel, there's a lot to talk about the awareness and the media campaign. So there is a dire need of to have a comprehensive and consistent and continuous media campaign, because these days of the technological advancement days, there are so many channels, so many mediums are available, whether it's the social media, it's the print media, and the electronic media, that are comprehensive and combined, individual by the insurance companies and collectively by the industry, the continuous media campaign for the awareness, and to enhance the limited distribution channel by telcos. Telco, you are related with the telco. The telcos is the best medium to offer the insurance product for the masses. And for the opportunities, I'm not expert for that, but the micro investment customized product for the masses, for example, in Pakistan, predominantly the population is middle class or the lower middle class. So we are not cater their requirement, what exactly their requirement for the insurance. So we have to develop a product, customized product for the exact need of the, for example, in the rural area, for the farmers, low income business groups, and the families, so that the awareness created, creation of customized product, and the use of telcos can bring the change in the insurance industry adoption across the country. This is my take as a non-industry expert.
Great insights. Ali?
Yeah, so I think great points from everyone. Just to add to it, I think what can help in scaling up also is the realization that whatever technology we use, and the use of technology obviously is going to be there in whatever we do to scale up. The use of technology needs to be looked at as a means to an end. It's not a panacea for everything. So if technology is used prudently, and before you decide to use a certain technology, we need to understand what solution is that technology providing to us. And that brings us one step earlier, where I spoke about it yesterday as well, that segmentation of the customer, understanding the customer is the key. That's probably where you start from. So if we are going to scale up insurance for females as one example, then we really need to understand, is it something like maybe micro savings, which can be used? Is it the committee concept, which can be brought to them because maybe they understand that better? Maybe we can look at health conditions of women, let's say female specific cancer product, let's say. So for all of that to happen, we really need to understand the segment that we're going into, and then what channel are we going to use to actually touch that customer. If we are going to use a telco, then we need to understand the telco segmentation of the customer. So for me, to scale up, the homework that needs to be done to actually reach that point is proper segmentation, even micro segmentation. If you can have one product, or you can have 10 other products, because each of that product serves a particular segment, that is something we should do. And I've always felt that the use of technology is always overrated. We always like to use this, we always like to use technology related terminology, but before we do that, we really need to understand that what problem is the technology going to solve, and use it prudently, and not treat it like a panacea, like a solution for every ailment. If you're able to do that, it will save us a lot of time and effort, and all our efforts are going to be more targeted in terms of what we want to do to scale up. So these are the two additional points I thought I could add.
Thank you, Ali. Karsa?
Ji, very quickly, I'll just say that in order to innovate, we need to be on the lookout what's changing in the ecosystem. I earlier talked about digital transformation. One of the interventions or investments that we have done in the market is the RAST payment gateway through the central bank. As we speak, daily 1.3 million transactions are happening. There are 33 million unique IDs on the RAST. Over 6.2 trillion rupees have already transacted over RAST. we are working with the SECP, company registry installation, secure transaction registry install. We have worked with the Central Director of National Savings, provided them technical assistance, and wo jo purane khate aapko nazar aate the, all of that has been converted into digital. ATM card launched. But what we are really going to do now is Pakistan Digital Stack. So it is something that our sponsors, based on the performance and the potential that they see in the country, we are going to work on that. What Stack comprises, if you allow me, I can just quickly say.
Please go ahead.
Is that it basically, if you look at the other countries' experiences, especially India, it comprises three main building blocks: digital ID, a payment system, instant, interoperable, and the third, databases with open APIs which are able to communicate with one another. Now, payment system exists. NADRA in the form of an ID exists, which can be upgraded to a digital ID. And now we would be working on a Pakistan Digital Stack vision. In addition, and also what is doable in the PDI space, which is the public digital infrastructure space. All of that would create an ecosystem in which I think the industry is out there to and can create solutions. So I'll just stop there.
Excellent. Yes. Sure.
Okay, I would take a leaf from what actually Richard said, and this is my observation as well. It's not, it doesn't make financial sense actually to reach out to, at the micro investment level. Even for us, I mean, yes, some of us are doing it because we have the luxury of funding it from our other businesses, and that's why we are able to do it. So it's more out of the goodness of the heart than anything else. And for it to make commercial sense, it will have to be done or fall into clusters. And for that, it needs to be, I mean, even if it's voluntary, it would probably need to be involuntary in a certain way. So I think what we probably collectively need to perhaps set up a think tank or brainstorm, is to how to help the government or provide them with input to make meaningful changes in the fiscal account, where this space is then created, and we then have a level playing field, and it's not one segment of the society as a taxpayer funding the other, which actually leaves no space for savings at all. And these are actually, the evils. And I think whatever we've done, I would not really be critical at all for the insurance industry or the asset management industry. For the scale that we operate in, we've done quite a bit. And but for us to take the next leap, it will have to come from outside. It will have to come from the environment. The government will need to realize that they will have to fund their fiscal needs from private savings, and they have to make the policy making accordingly. They cannot just fund the fiscal account from another future deficit. That's not clearly sustainable. And if that falls in place, I think we're ready to capitalize on that. Yes, we will probably have to do some more product building, etc. But in terms of networks, in terms of platforms, in terms of operational settlement structures, all of that in Pakistan, I think, is actually very stable compared to many other countries. So we have a reason to be proud of.
Fantastic. I have to say, I haven't seen as much attendance on the last panel discussion of a conference as we see here. So thank you to the crowd as well. Just would like to open it up for questions. I believe we have some time, I'm told. I think we have one there.
Thank you very much. I think we are talking about the literacy, education, information, and awareness about the insurance and financial education. I think we have need to discuss about the people who has been engaged, the manpower has been engaged in the insurance companies, and they have need of its own, the capacity and how they are providing such information to, because most of the youth has been engaged for the time being, and after that they will go back, and people are discouraged about that, how the people will come, they discuss with us, but after a few days he has gone. So this kind of the impression is not creating such kind of the how the people will follow the whole process in the insurance companies. That's why the people are not been fully aware about this. This is one of the gray area we need to discuss about this.
If I could, Ali, bring this to you. So, and just to add to the very fine question, if I am a customer wanting to seek out an insurance service, and I think I'd also like, after you, if there are other people who would like to also give their views, so we can have it as an exchange. What do I do? Where do I go? Do I go to an app? Do I call up an agent? Do I see that the customer onboarding process can be frictionless? Should I go to a centralized database on the SCCP website? How do I get into the cycle and that can come comfortable with that in your views?
So the way, let's say we talk about life insurance, the way it is sold and it has been sold is predominantly through an insurance agent. So this individual, he or she is the feet on street. They go out, they do cold calling, and that's how I think most of us have been approached by insurance agents, even those who don't work in insurance companies. And that is a traditional way of selling insurance. Bank assurance was something that evolved over the last 10 years. So through a bank branch now also, there is visibility of insurance products.
Bank assurance. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you walk into a bank branch, you have some visibility, you know, there is a counter, you can go there, you can talk to people. So that's something that has happened. Now what is happening is that we have multiple channels which are opening up. So yes, we have digital channels where depending on the level of, they have made themselves more visible in terms of the eyes of the public. You can go on apps, you can get relevant information. And now we work with entities where on 3 clicks you can buy insurance on the app. We work with telcos as well. So that has happened, but the awareness is still limited. Then obviously all the insurance companies, they have their own channels, whether it's the call center, whether it's the website, WhatsApp channels have opened up. So gradually these channels are opening up. Still it's early days and more needs to be done. But as of now, predominantly insurance is sold through an insurance agent. Now, the question about training of these agents, it's a 365-day-a-year process. All insurance companies, they have robust training setups internally. And the training process just keeps on happening throughout the whole year. So all those efforts are being put in, but I believe the channels are opening up. There are more ways now than 5 years ago in terms of how a customer can actually approach us. And then we obviously approach customers through the feet on street model and the bank assurance model specifically.
Other questions?
I have a question for Richard and Numan. A lot of discussion goes around that if you were to share data and if the data was to become available, then some of the bigger companies would lose out because the competition could use that information. And there are a lot of concerns that we hear on that account. And one question for Richard specifically, how do you see open insurance future and what should be the roadmap to move in that direction? Thank you.
All right, so let me just answer the first part. I think, and it's to do with data. I think, when it comes to data, obviously this is the most important asset that any company or any insurance company would have with them. Okay, so from a technology, facilitator standpoint, from what we do, we just make sure that the data actually is owned and and managed and over with the direct oversight of the insurance company. So we do not, as a technology platform, do not control the data. We make sure that the data actually is under the control of the insurance company or whoever the stakeholder is who's taking our solution. So that's the only thing I think from our standpoint then we can ensure. The rest of the stuff obviously is when you give that control to the stakeholder or insurance company, they are able to then manage and take control of that and ensure the security and safety of that data. I think whoever falls into that ecosystem will eventually need to follow that because otherwise, if you have gaps in that, you will have leakages of information across. Thank you.
One more? Okay. Time for one more. Please, mic again. Do we have a mic close by? Mic nahi hai. I don't know. Maybe if you want to just try and speak it out, I'll repeat it if I can. Mic agar ek udhar de. Thank you.
Thank you. Since this session is all about the collaboration, and we all are talking about the collaboration, one particular sector, which is micro insurance sector, is touching around 9.5 million population.
Yeah.
My question is, all the insurance operator, how they can collaborate this huge potential market with the micro insurance institution and micro insurance bank by selling micro insurance products?
I'm going to do something different here. Nilofer, I'm going to request you to answer that. आप आराम से बैठी हुई थी ना, so I thought, no, but I think you're going to give a good version. So how can we leverage the micro insurance customer base and leverage those insights to sell other insurance products and to create more awareness?
Okay, I think a good question, and I think it's a very good starting point when it comes to the micro insurance product. I think the goal for all of us, at least us, I would say, is to graduate these customers into formal insurance customers. So for that, and the good part of micro insurance is that the customers that are currently coming here are the first time buyers of insurance. So they haven't tasted insurance anywhere before. So what we should do and what we have started to do is that we are doing a lot of data analysis as to who those customers are, where do they belong, and since I also said in my previous session that we are moving towards inclusive insurance, so most of it, what we find out is that there are so many niches where the customer is not necessarily a micro customer or a second or third tier customer. From the data, you get to know that they live in the place, how frequent they go to work, what kind of work they do, how much airtime do they recharge, and what kind of activities they get engaged into. And this then translates into cross-selling and upselling. Still in a very, very nascent stage, but I think if done correctly, it has a lot of scope to improve and increase.
Thank you so much, Nilofer. Thank you so much to the panelists. We are about to have Chief Minister Sindh with us. I only request the panelists to please be seated at the front on that side. We will be calling you shortly again for the shield distribution. Sir, I'll request all of you to please sit on the other side of the conference.
Maybe just thank you so much and a round of applause for the panelists.
Round of applause for all the panelists. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Noman Sahab, and thank you so much, Mr. Lefley. It was a pleasure to having you both. And we do have your shields, and I will make sure that you have those in due course. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, Chief Justice Retired Mr. Makbul Baqi, as the chief guest for our closing ceremony. We welcome you, sir, for the conference. Thank you so much, sir, for gracing the event. We are truly honored to have you here at the closing ceremony of the International Insure Impact Conference 2023. Sir, I'll request your good self, Mr. Akif Saeed, Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, Mr. Amir Khan, our Commissioner of Insurance, and Mr. Mujtaba Ahmed Lodi to please come on stage, and then we can proceed with the closing session of the conference. Sir, please, thank you. May I firstly request Mr. Amir Khan, Commissioner for Insurance at the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, to kindly give the conference takeaway at the closing session, that is parting words of wisdom. Sir Amir, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Minister Sindh, Justice Maqbool Bakir Saab, Chairman SCCP Akif Saeed Saab, brother commissioners, esteemed foreign guests and worthy participants. As we conclude the International Impact Conference 2023, I stand before you to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here, for the insightful discussions, for the exchange of ideas over the course of these last 2 remarkable days. Pakistan's economy is susceptible to certain risks. That makes insurance pivotal for risk mitigation. The country has grappled with frequent natural disasters, underscoring the imperative role of insurance in navigating these risks. We cannot afford to be underprotected. Recognizing this, the SCCP has taken upon itself to engage with all stakeholders and undertake advocacy for meeting the nation's insurance needs. It is a tall order. However, substantial efforts are required to institute the essential changes required to fortify the insurance landscape in the country. I commend the commitment of the Insurance Division Policy Team as well as the insurance industry in formulating the 5-year strategic plan, which serves as a foundational step only, mind you. It can reshape the future of insurance in Pakistan, but to implement it, we will require widespread collaboration with the agencies, ministries, and departments across provinces, as well as the federal level. The distinguished speakers, including the Honorable President Dr. Arif Alvi, Finance Minister Dr. Shamshad Akhtar, Dr. Ishrat Hussain, the esteemed panelists, and the speakers have enriched our understanding of the challenges and the need for a comprehensive approach. The multifaceted challenges contributing to the low penetration of insurance require diligent consideration. Nonetheless, I'm extremely encouraged by the dedication exhibited by all the stakeholders in discussing and addressing these complexities in depth over the last 2 days. The unveiled 5-year strategic plan sets a trajectory for the future, envisioning implementation of IFRS 17 and the RBC regime, a digital ecosystem, expanded insurance outreach, growth in the Takaful sector, and strengthened reinsurance capabilities. The ambitious roadmap aligns with our collective goal of propelling economic growth and meeting the evolving aspirations of the communities to which we belong. Throughout this conference, we have delved into critical areas such as legal and governance structures, awareness and perception, technological advancements, the need for implementing compulsory insurances, and the role, most importantly, of rational and fair taxation in fostering sectoral growth. These discussions, enriched by the valuable insights of insurance industry experts, have laid a solid groundwork for a resilient and forward-looking insurance industry. But I would also like that one of the themes which perhaps has not been spoken about so much, but a lot of discussion has revolved around it, and that is an approach by way of customer centricity, focusing on the customer, mapping the journey, and delivering to them what they really need. That lies at the heart of everything else that I've talked about. As we contemplate the future, I urge the industry to take a proactive stance. The regulator SCCP stands ready to support new initiatives and welcome any suggestions, any workable suggestions within the legal bounds. So we hope and expect that there will be initiatives by the industry to progressively calibrate the future orientation of insurance sector in line with the 5-year plan and in synchronization with it, as some of the speakers have talked about. Furthermore, at our end, we will keep on facilitating the industry, while at the same time working to improve the perception of insurance sector among general public. Drawing upon my personal life experience, I firmly believe that transforming the perception of a sector is a collective endeavor, rather than a solo undertaking. It requires collaborative and concerted efforts by all concerned. In light of this, I put forth a proposal, excuse me, Chairman Saab, for taking this liberty, but I put forth a proposal for the Ministry of Finance and the Chairman SCCP to collaborate with the industry in establishing an insurance innovation fund. This initiative should facilitate in leveraging technology, devising innovative solutions, reaching out to and educating a broader and wider audience, and focusing on capacity building for the entire insurance industry. I would like, at the end, would like to acknowledge the support extended by the Asian Development Bank, Karan Das, and the Society of Actuaries, who recognize the significance of SCCP's initiatives in sustainable development of the insurance sector. I would also like to thank the people sitting at the last table led by Rabia, the Nutshell team. Thank you very much for your excellent support, and thank you for helping us organize an excellent event. I find immense hope and optimism in the collective expertise and brilliant ideas shared during these 2 days. And I'm confident that our journey towards an insured Pakistan is not only promising, but destined to be successful. Let us continue with working collaboratively, adopting technology, embracing innovation, and collectively building a resilient and inclusive insurance landscape for the nation's secure and protected future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amir Saab. May I kindly now request Mr. Akif Saeed, Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, to please shed some remarks on the International Insure Impact Conference as the closing of it.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think Honorable Justice Retired Maqbool Baqir Sahab, Amir Ali Khan, Commissioner Insurance, and his team, he's the man behind the 2 days conference, developing the strategic plan and then holding this conference to bring all the stakeholders together. Honorable Brother Commissioner Mujtaba Ahmed Lodi Sahab, panelists, moderators, international guests who are here and who could not come and joined us through technology and Zoom. Thank you for making it a success. That's the feedback I'm getting. But from my own personal point of view, this is a closing remark, closing session of the conference, but beginning of the next phase, implementation phase. I think this is what has been talked about, particularly since morning by Dr. Ishrat and other speakers also, that having a plan is maybe 1/4 or 1/3 of the effort. The rest is the implementation. One point I would like the industry to consider, which I mentioned yesterday also, how to dovetail this plan into their own business strategies. So ownership is with the industry. When I came here, my understanding of the problems, there were two major issues I had in mind. One was the legislative changes, another was the fiscal changes, both at federal level. But then something for me, the takeaway over the last 2 days has been education and awareness, something which is very much close to my heart. We have re-established earlier this year an investor education program department, and we are relaunching our Jama Punji investor education and awareness program. Taking advantage of the presence of the Honorable Chief Minister, I would like to request the Chief Minister to give us time and enable and have a dialogue in terms of making the financial literacy or financial education part of the school and university curriculum, because universities operate both and schools definitely at the provincial level. I think that's something which we would love your help in this regard. So if you're able to do that, the two things, over 2 days, the awareness aspect, which will go a long way in creating awareness about not just the insurance, but the overall financial planning and the financial sector, more so the non-banking financial sector. With these, I congratulate all the people for a successful conference, and thank you for your presence. Last but not the least, insurance team from SECP, ably led by Wasim Khan, Jibran, Wazirzada, Shazia, and other who came up, and Falak Sher, our advisor. Thank you, and thank you for participating.
Honorable Chief Minister deserves what I would say is he does not need any introduction, but just a few sentences. Chief Minister of Sindh, Justice Retired Maqbool Baqi, has served as the Chief Justice of the Sindh High Court and also as a judge of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. May I kindly request Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, Justice Retired Maqbool Baqi Sahab, to please embrace the conference through with his closing remarks. Sir, please. Thank you so much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Chairman, Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, Mr. Akif Saeed. Commissioner SECP, distinguished guests and participants, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to offer my sincere congratulations to SECP for organizing this highly successful International Insurance Impact Conference. The conference has been truly impressive, uniting the relevant specialists and insurance industry representatives from all over. The valuable insight and passion shared during this event have the potential to shape the future of the insurance industry in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, to put it simply, my understanding of insurance is that it serves as a financial cushion in case of unforeseen circumstances. It eases concerns about potential risks, enabling people to concentrate on recapitulating and reconstructing regardless of whether it's your vehicle, residence, well-being, or enterprise. Insurance is crucial in guaranteeing that you don't have to face unexpected financial hurdles alone. Pakistan's exposure to natural disasters such as heavy rains, floods, droughts, and landslides is frequent, making insurance increasingly important. The province of Sindh is particularly affected, with the population facing hardships such as losses of homes, livelihood, and crops, their sole source of income. Consequently, discussion on disaster risk management, insurance pools, crop insurance, and compulsory insurance are not only beneficial but essential for improving insurance. Other crucial topics such as elevating the takaful sector and the need for collaboration and technology to enhance insurance penetration in Pakistan are inevitable. The significance of image building and cultural and religious beliefs regarding insurance cannot be overlooked in our society. Ladies and gentlemen, SCCP has announced a groundbreaking 5-year strategic plan for the insurance industry in Pakistan, marking a historic moment. This plan sets the stage for the future of insurance in the country, with the overall goal of achieving an insured Pakistan. The theme of Journey to an Insured Pakistan is emphasized as a crucial pursuit for the sector. I am hopeful that this ambitious goal may be successfully implemented over the next 5 years. Dear audience, the Government of Sindh acknowledges the significance of insurance in mitigating risk and protecting assets. The creation of Sindh Insurance Limited, the first insurance company owned by a provincial government, is a significant milestone. The company's mission is to provide insurance coverage for provincial government properties, crops, insurance, and other relevant areas. This initiative is groundbreaking as it makes Sindh the first province in Pakistan to establish its own insurance company. This development serves as a model for other provinces to follow to improve financial protection and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, the Government of Sindh can work more closely with SCCP and the insurance industry to improve the availability of crop and livestock insurance and develop a plan for the introduction of disaster risk insurance in the province. It is also important for the government to cooperate with developmental and donor organizations to provide guidance and assistance in creating a climate-resilient environment and devising a disaster risk financing strategy that prioritizes insurance as a critical component. Furthermore, your comprehensive study on motor third-party liability insurance is commendable, and we pledge our support for the effective implementation of this initiative in the province of Sindh. The insurance industry is facing certain financial challenges, which makes insurance product more expensive. We want to offer our full support in finding a solution to the same. Our dedication to creating a safe Pakistan remains strong, and we are committed to working together with you to achieve this common goal. We are prepared to assist with any support needed from the Government of Sindh. In conclusion, I express my gratitude to all participants, contributors, organizers who have made this conference a resounding success. Let us collectively work towards realizing the vision of an insured and economically thriving Pakistan. Together, we can build a future that is resilient, secure, and prosperous for all. And before I leave the rostrum, I want to say that the suggestion from the SCCP's chairman is really wonderful. Training our student at school and college level would go a long way in improving our financial health. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh, sir, we had a panel discussion immediately before your arrival, and our panelists and speakers are sitting there. We want you to kindly present the conference mementos to our last panelist. May I call upon Mr. Sardar Abu Bakr to kindly receive his conference memento from the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh. May I kindly request Mr. Waqasul Hassan to please come on stage to receive his memento from the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh. May I kindly request Mr. Badiuddin Akbar, CEO of CDC, to please collect his conference memento from Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh. May I request Mr. Muhammad Ali Ahmed to please come on stage to collect his conference memento. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. And then may I request Mr. Yasir Qadri to also come on stage to collect his conference memento from the Chief Minister of Sindh. Thank you. I would now request Chairman SCCP and Commissioner Insurance, Mr. Amir Khan, to please present conference memento to Honorable Chief Minister Sindh for his presence at the conference and for delivering the closing remarks. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We are honored to have you here. May I request the officials from the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan to please come on stage, to please have a picture. Please be quick and come on stage to have a picture with the Honorable Chief Minister of Sindh and the Chairman SCCP and Commissioners. Well, a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for your own selves, please. We are extremely thankful for you to be here at the very last moment of the conference. And with this, we would like to again thank our sponsors, ADB, Karandaz, and the SOA. And lastly, we close off the International Insure Impact Conference with the aim that we have the vision to take this 5 years plan forward and implement it in due course. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. The conference stands closed.